I swing it back.
Carlton Fisk's unforgettable moment 13 years ago. Just the 6th time in World Series history that a game had ended with a sudden death homer. And until this October, it hadn't happened since. But then Kirk Gibson electrified the nation Saturday night. And in Game 3, Mark McGwire brought the A's to life. Six times in 85 years, and then twice in 72 hours. Welcome to Game 4 of the 1988 World Series. And Game 4 will be played on a beautiful, breezy night at the Oakland Coliseum as we welcome you to our NBC broadcast. Hi, everybody. Bob Costas, joined soon by Marv Albert. First of all, the pitchers for the Dodgers. Tim Belcher, wild and ineffective in Game 1, gets another shot at it, opposed by 21-game winner Dave Stewart, who pitched 8 decent innings in the first game and came away with a no decision. Now, since last night, the Dodger lead in the series has diminished, but their injury list has grown. A short while ago, their team physician, Dr. Frank Jobe, addressed the media. He gave us the following report. It is very unlikely that Kirk Gibson will do anything but pinch hit for the duration of the series, no matter how long it goes. Mike Marshall, with the chronic back problem that flared up last night and forced him out of the game, won't start tonight. It's better than 50-50 that he will play tomorrow in Game 5. John Tudor, with the bad elbow, is finished for the series, and Dr. Jobe said, pending further examinations, it is possible that the elbow injury is career-threatening. Now, in the Dodger lineup tonight, you've got Danny Heap as the designated hitter, Mike Davis in right field, Mickey Hatcher in left, Franklin Stubbs at first. The A's lineup was stronger than the Dodgers to begin with, but without Gibson and Marshall, in fairness, pitching aside, and Dodger pitching is excellent, this Dodger lineup has to be one of the weakest ever to take the field for a World Series game. They have a total of 36 home runs, and that's with 9 hitters. Remember, this is a DH game. 6 fewer home runs than Jose Canseco of the A's alone. Speaking of Canseco, I'm about to find out how Gulliver felt in the land of the Brobdingnagians as I talk with Canseco and fellow basher Mark McGwire when we come back right after this.
NBC Sports presents the World Series, an inside look. Brought to you by Michelin.
Welcome back to the Oakland Coliseum. What a difference a single swing can make. The A's on the brink of going down 3-0. Now believe that their comeback is underway. The stadium's still abuzz over this shot unloaded in the last of the ninth by Mark McGwire. And suddenly the series stands at 2-1. A little while ago, I talked to McGwire and fellow basher Jose Canseco, beginning with last night's hero.
You know, it's pretty exciting because, you know, game-winning home runs are always exciting, but here in the World Series, I pretty much know what Kirk Gibson was going through when he was running around the bases, and just for us to get a win, you know, if we were 0-3, our backs are severely against the wall. Now it's 2-1. It's up for grabs.
How tense was it on the bench, Jose? Because you guys were very close to going down 0-3. Dodgers had the bases loaded, nobody out in the 6th inning.
I can remember that situation that happened in the 6th inning, bases were loaded, and I can remember speaking with Henderson. I know there was no odds. I said, well, let's try to minimize the run score production that they're going to have, and basically our pitchers did quite well. They got out of the inning without scoring a run, and from there on in, we knew that that was the turning point of the game. It came into the 9th inning. I came up, popped out to second base. McGwire came up, hit that home run, and basically everyone was ecstatic. We were all jumping around, going out there giving forearm mashes because we knew that we had to win this 3rd game. We knew how difficult it would be to come back from a 3-game deficit.
You might want to call them a scrappy team because they just do the things you have to do to win. And their pitching staff might be underrated. You know, everybody looks at Oral Hershiser, but their bullpen's been outstanding. And it's not like everybody's looking at us saying, well, why aren't you hitting the ball? Well, they're not going to lay it on a tee for us. You know, they're working us in and out. You can get all the pitching reports you want, but it really doesn't help because they're not going to lay it on a tee for us.
You get another crack at Tim Belcher tonight.
Yeah, we got another crack at him. Basically, I've only seen him twice over there in L.A. He hit me once, and the other one I hit the grand slam. We have to win today. I think we have to capitalize on the sense that he's not going to come out there with a lot of confidence, knowing he only pitched 2 or 3 innings, give up a grand slam. We're hitting him quite well, just hitting him at people. So I think if we score in the early innings, he's going to have trouble.
We're a few minutes away from Game 4 as the Dodgers and A's reprise their matchup in the 1974 World Series. Now, since then, this is the 4th time Los Angeles has appeared in the Fall Classic. But it marks the return of the A's to the World Series for the first time in 14 years. 1974, in many ways, seems even longer ago than that. Remember it? It was a significant year in sports. Aaron passed Ruth, Ali shocked Foreman, and elsewhere, it was a year of political turmoil. The year-and-a-half-long Watergate scandal reached its climax with Richard Nixon becoming the first president to resign his office. In a bizarre story, Patty Hearst was kidnapped by the SLA. For the 3rd consecutive season, All in the Family was the #1 television show. In the movies, the box office king, Newman and Redford, in The Sting. And in sports, David Thompson of North Carolina State ended UCLA's 7-year reign along the way to taking the NCAA championship. Here in Oakland, the Snake, Kenny Stabler, led the late lamented Oakland Raiders to the AFC West title. And for the 3rd consecutive year, Charlie Finley's Oakland A's were baseball's world champions. Remember them, folks? They were the swinging A's, mustaches, long hair, crazy uniforms, all kinds of gimmicks. Say what you want about Charles O. Finley. He was the architect of a team that won 5 divisional championships, 3 straight World Series. When we come back, Marv with Charlie O.
Tribute to the spirit of baseball. Brought to you by MCI.
One of dozens of Charlie Finley gimmicks. No ball boy for him. Instead, a mechanical rabbit popping out of the ground near home plate with fresh baseballs to assist and amuse the umpires. And here to assist and amuse us, Marv Albert, who just a few days ago had a visit with Charlie O.
Well, Bob, once upon a time it was the Oakland Athletics of Charles O. Finley. Despite all the controversy that swirled around Finley, the intramural squabbles, the battles with baseball commissioner Bowie Kuhn, this a team that won 5 straight division championships, a team that won 3 consecutive world championships. Yes, the A's of the early 70s were baseball's curiosity with their colorful uniforms, their white shoes, their ball girls, plus, of course, Charlie O, the team mascot, all products of the imagination of their owner, Charlie Finley.
You know, when I came into baseball in 1961, the visiting teams wore a prison gray uniform, and the home team wore an eggshell white with black shoes. And then my first year in baseball, I brought in the colorful uniform, Kelly green and gold, and white shoes. And I know that a couple of the owners looked at one another and said, "Gee, how did this fellow Charlie Finley get past us?" So I think I rocked the boat too much for them. But the funny thing about it, Marv, is a very short time later, they were all wearing colorful uniforms.
Charlie, what changes would you like to see in the game today?
Well, the only change, Marv, that I'd like to see, as far as the balls and strikes are concerned, I'd like to see it go down to 3 balls and 3 strikes. Now, by going down to 3 balls, that'll help balance the offense with the defense. Back when professional baseball first started, they started out with 9 balls and 5 strikes, and they gradually went on down to, in 1888, they came down with 4 balls and 3 strikes, and it hasn't been changed, incidentally, in 100 years. So I think 3 and 3 would help the game tremendously.
And you still would like to see orange baseballs?
Oh, very definitely, Marv, because, you know, the pitchers are throwing that ball today 95, 100 miles an hour, and it enables, an orange ball would enable the hitter to see the ball much easier than a white ball coming out of a white uniform.
Charlie, despite the fact that some of your theories, such as the designated hitter, night baseball during All-Star and World Series games were adapted, do you feel you weren't taken seriously?
No, because, well, we played a couple of exhibition games with the orange baseball, and I tell you, I don't like to say this, but the owners were against it because it was my idea. You know, Finley goes in here with this, gets the All-Star game, the World Series games played at night, colorful uniforms, white shoes, designated hitter, and I keep fighting for this and that. And hey, for Christ's sakes, guys, sit down. You know, quit rocking the boat.
Charlie, I like your capsule thoughts, quickie opinions on your good friend, one-time Commissioner Bowie Kuhn.
I have no admiration, no respect for Bowie Kuhn. I think he's about the worst thing that ever happened to baseball.
And Bowie Kuhn, it should be pointed out, was not exactly a great fan of Charlie Finley. Now, let's see, 3 balls constituting a walk, the designated pinch runner. And how about the old orange baseballs? Nice hands, Bob.
You know, some of his ideas were good ones. DH, I guess, has some merit, and certainly night games and the All-Star game and the World Series makes sense. But remember what happened to the designated runner, Herb Washington?
Yes.
Mike Marshall of the Dodgers picked him off in '74, and the orange baseball will never make it, Marvelous.
But I would like to hold on to these.
Time for us to make it over to the PA man, Roy Steele, for the introduction of the national anthem.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please rise and join in the singing of our national anthem as performed by national recording star Peter Cetera.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Tim Belcher for the Dodgers. Dave Stewart for the Oakland.
Another jewel of a day, not a cloud in the sky, about as bright and blue as it gets as the Oakland A's take the field. Last night, if you remember, when the game started, there were 4 little fingers of sunshine in center field. As you can see, we have a little more than that for the center fielder and the right fielder to perhaps contend with on a ball hit to right center. The rest of the field in shade, a couple of spotlights in left field. But it is a beautiful evening for Dave Stewart and Tim Belcher, and let's take a look at a Dodger lineup that is without Mike Marshall and without Kirk Gibson. It might go down in the history books as one of the weaker hitting starting lineups in World Series history. And here's the way they go. Sachs with Stubbs and then Hatcher. Mike Davis starting in right field. Then Shelby, Socia with Danny Heat, the designated hitter, Jeff Hamilton, and Alfredo Griffin. So it is a ball club where the big man in home runs is Shelby with 10. And if you combined all those home runs, you had less than Jose Canseco hit this year. Dave Stewart, his numbers in the first game, with that forkball added, 3 earned runs and 5 strikeouts. He had 2 shutouts during the regular year, and to break down his record of 21-12, the best thing to keep in mind, he was 9-5 here at the Coliseum. So in some respects, he was a better pitcher on the road. Let's take a look at the leather.
In the outfield, it'll be Polonia, Henderson, and Canseco. Remember, Polonia had kind of a tough time out there last night. Not only made a bad throw, went to the wrong base. La Russa talked to both of them and asked Henderson to kind of take charge there. But in talking to Henderson, he said it's very difficult to hear one another out there, but he's going to try at least to give Polonia some help. Lansford and Weiss, you know what Weiss does. Hubbard around second base. A tough combination. McGuire, better than average fielder. Steinbach behind the plate. And I would think then that Lasorda, all the games he's managed, this one, he'll have to really try to manufacture some runs and do everything. Bunt, hit, run, everything.
And to try and define that word manufacture, we might get a pretty good indication of his thinking in the first inning. Because the question will be, with a team that does not figure to generate many runs, does that mean the hitters will be taking more when the count is their way? We'll find out as a pattern emerges. Steve Sachs with 3 hits and 1 stolen base in the series. You might remember he stole 5 in the league championship series. And here we go. Ball 1, 1-0.
Even if you didn't have the lineup that you have against Stewart, you want to give him a chance to get wild. He does have wild streaks.
1 ball and no strikes to Dave. In there on the corner for a strike. 1-1. When you talk about Dave Stewart and call him homeboy, you are really on target. The 7th of 8 children. 4 generations of Stewarts live here in East Oakland. Well, he was taking. Well, we'll just follow that pattern a little while.
Big curveball. It's the first curveball he threw. 2 balls and 1 strike. They're going to make him pitch.
Lansford in on the grass at third. 3-1 to count.
Here's what I'll tell you if they're taking, Ben, right here.
Now, of course, even that is hard to figure because Sachs is one of the better hitters in the lineup.
But if you're going to make him pitch, here's where you'd want him to do it. This will tell you Lasorda's plan.
3-1. And there's your plan. He's too good a hitter to take a swing away. When we get down into that lineup a little bit, there are some hitters who will be taking. People like Danny Heath would take. Hamilton might take. In fact, quite a few.
I would think that Hamilton and Griffin better take.
Yeah, but I didn't think that Sachs would because he's going to have enough trouble generating an offense. So they had him swing 3-1 and he broke his bat. 3-2 the count of Steve Sachs. Dave Stewart. Pretty good fastball up, but much better with a tail on it when he gets it down. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And he got it too far down. Now we'll see about manufacturing. Sachs stole 5 in the league championship series. He has 1 stolen base here. You have Franklin Stubbs. Now you might look at Stubbs' numbers during the regular year and say, what kind of a number 2 hitter is he? After all, he's supposed to be a power hitter. He wound up hitting 8. One reason they want Stubbs up there is because he furnishes a pretty good screen. In other words, with Steinbach behind the plate, they're hoping he might lose track of that fraction of a second when Sachs decides to go. He bluffed. Ball 1. Obviously, he's left-handed, and you like to keep the first baseman on the bag and open up the right side of the infield. But the Dodgers are hoping that if the time comes to turn Sachs loose, that maybe Steinbach won't pick him up.
He'll get some help from that bench. They'll be screaming as loud as they can. I'm sure La Russa has told his ball club, hey, give him some help. Any left-hand hitter. Stewart has a good move to first base. It's quick, but it's not a good, quick move to the plate.
And he is still at it. The thought of not eating on the day when he pitches. And he's still doing that. 1 ball and no strikes to Franklin Stubbs. And he lines it to right, and at Canseco, who appeared to have a little trouble seeing it, he held his glove up, even though he is in shade, and that ball was hit right at him.
Might have had trouble that ball coming out of the stands because I don't think the sun was that big a factor. Didn't get that high. It was a sinker all the way, but he got that glove up there right. He didn't hardly have to move. Sinking all the way. Well hit.
So Stubbs hits one on the button right at Canseco. 1 out, and here's Mickey Hatcher. Sacks a fairly good lead. 1 ball and no strikes. You will see a lot of this tonight, and it's not a decoy, a question of when you want to play hit and run. There he goes. Hit and run ground ball into right field, and Sachs will just keep on going. And that basically is the pattern. You had Sachs hit 3-1 because he's a good hitter, and he eventually walks. You were hoping to use Stubbs, and he hit the ball hard. Now you play hit and run, and for Lasorda, he's in business first and third. And now Mike Davis coming up.
He catches a break with Hatcher hitting that ball. We know he can hit the right field, and he just hits it perfectly because they were playing him up the middle. All his base hits that he's had before have been pulled. He's been pulling the ball, but this time just absolutely perfect.
Mike Davis had a couple of big years here in Oakland. Ball 1, and that thing wrestled by Terry Steinbach. Good play. 1 ball, no strikes. There's the chart on Hatcher. You can see why they were playing him to pull. He hasn't hit a ball from center field over. So a walk to Sachs, single to right by Hatcher. 1 ball and no strikes to Mike Davis. That's a strike. And that had a little something on it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sachs at third, Hatcher at first. Davis, a very disappointing year. 2 home runs and 17 runs batted in for the entire season. And he is hitting cleanup tonight. And it gets away at the plate, so Sachs will score. Hatcher to second, makes a turn and holds. And the Dodgers pick up a run in the first inning.
That was a cross-up. You see Stewart and Steinbach. I don't know how he could miss this ball. I mean, it is high. It just hit right off. He closed the glove. It hit right off the heel. It's a pass ball all the way. I mean, it wasn't throwing hard. It looked like the fork ball that he threw with the rotation, and he just didn't catch it. You talk about manufacturing a run, a walk, a ground ball, and a pass ball.
Of course, that was a pretty important hit and run single to right, but the pass ball is a gift, and now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mike Davis. Laid off that fork ball, just missed the corner.
2 gifts. The base on balls is a gift.
Sure, but of course he went 3-2 with him, so he had to fight for the gift. 2-2 to Mike Davis. Davis played here from 1980 to 87. And he hits one sharply, and over to knock it down is Hubbard, but that's all. What Hubbard did was keep it on the infield and save a run. If it goes through, why, Hatcher would have scored easily. It will be an error charge to Hubbard. The ball was hit hard, and it hit Hubbard of the wrists.
He didn't get the glove on it. You can see him shaking his hand. He gets over there. He thinks he can make the play. Usually a backhander knock it down, but it hits him right in the bare hand, you can see. And even if he picks it up, he can't make that throw. And when he flips the ball back to Stewart, you can just see him kind of lob it.
There have been 4 errors in this series, 3 of the 4 by Oakland. So the Dodgers get another break, and here's John Shelby. Still only 1 out. Shelby is just in one of those slumps, and it happens to him during the year. Not only has he had 3 for 11, but in the 11 at-bats, he has struck out 4 times, failing to advance anybody.
His first hitter, he started off with a strike.
And right away, a strikeout hitter is in a hole, 0-2. Remember last night, what might have been very much the turning point of the game and even the series, was when the Dodgers blew a bases loaded, nobody out in the 6th inning.
When you see La Russa do that, I asked him about it. He's talking to his catchers what he's doing. Is the only one he's given a sign to.
0-2. There goes the runner Davis. The pitch outside, the throw down. Great play by Weiss to one hand. That in the dirt. If it gets by him, the Dodgers have another run.
And Steinbach tried to stop the base runner Hatcher at third, but his throw was still low. Watch him as he gets the ball. He gets a good ball to handle, takes a quick look, and Weiss really makes a good play by digging it up. All he's worried about there is really catching the ball, not worrying about the tag, as Lasorda tries to steal a run.
2nd and 3rd with one out. And it's hit off the glove of Stewart, deflected to Hubbard, who throws to first in time.
He may have hurt his leg,
and
his right
hurt
leg.
Is John Shelby.
He really hit that bag badly.
The run is in. It is 2-0 Dodgers. Taking the play at third is Mike Davis, and John Shelby goes to the dugout with the Dodgers leading 2-0. That would be a 1-4-3, deflected by Stewart to Hubbard over to McGuire.
That's always dangerous. Watch, the ball goes off his glove, but watch Shelby. He's going to try to beat it out and stretch with the right leg right there, and it turns. And you can see the anxiety on that Dodger bench.
And here's Mike Scioscia. 1 ball and no strikes. Now, Scioscia is the kind of a hitter, if the Dodgers feel that maybe Stewart is pressing, as we see John Shelby, who appears to be okay, they might ask Scioscia to take a strike. We'll see. 1 ball, no strikes. Ball 2. On deck, a veteran hitter, Danny Heap. And he, again, is another type hitter they might ask to take a strike against Stewart. Two and 0 to Scioscia with 2 down and a runner at third. And he hits one to left center. Digging is Henderson, and he's there. But the Dodgers get 2 runs on 1 hit, an error, and leave a man. And it's 2-0 Dodgers, half an inning.
Take a look at Shelby's right foot as he touches the bag, how it turns right there. And down he goes, and they were a little bit worried about him.
Shelby up and at him in center field. So it is 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers here in the 1st inning, as Tim Belcher prepares to go to work. Belcher celebrating his 27th birthday today. Needless to say, you know what he wants. And here's the lineup against him. Louis Polonia, Dave Henderson, Jose Canseco. Dave Parker, the DH. Mark McGuire and Carney Lansford. Terry Steinbach behind the plate. Glenn Hubbard and Walt Weiss, the shortstop. Belcher, who was so wild, and the Dodgers felt in the aftermath it wasn't that he was wild because it was the World Series. They felt he was emotionally affected pitching against the Oakland organization. He never played for the A's. We'll see now whether his temperament has calmed down. Young man from Sparta, Ohio. And greeting him would be Louis Polonia to start it off. Then Dave Henderson and Jose Canseco. Hamilton up on the grass at third. Strike, 0-1.
Polonia took a quick look to see where Hamilton was. You saw it as he was getting ready to bat. And Hamilton trying to take that fun away from him by playing in.
Polonia, a fellow who likes to dump the bunt up along third or drag. And he's already succeeded in nothing else of pulling up the corners. Hamilton, even with the bag at third. Stubbs now with 2 strikes is backed up a little at first.
3 for 36. Oh, that hurts.
No balls, 2 strikes. 1 and 2.
I'll tell you one thing, Belcher, just in those few pitches right there, he's been down. In the other game he started, he was wild high.
You know, very tough about him, really. He has a very easy rhythmical delivery. And one of the problems when you watch him pitch Early in the game, you'll see fastballs that are fouled back. Then, if he begins to aim the ball, all of a sudden, instead of those fastballs being fouled back, they're going to be ripped. But he doesn't pitch any differently. At least it doesn't look it unless you really have him under a magnifying glass. Now, that's a classic example. Good fastball at the knees. Polonia fouled it back. If he suddenly gets out of sync in the middle of the game, that kind of a pitch could be drilled.
That'll happen. The hitters will tell you when you're losing your stuff, obviously. There's his delivery. It's the last minute. It's like a quick pop. You can see him give it that little extra.
2-2. Fouled away.
Fastball pitchers, you'll see a lot of balls fouled back, and really they are easier to tell when they're losing their stuff, because instead of hitting a little bit behind, you're a little bit in front, and you get the base hit or the hard hit ball.
We talked about the first time we saw him that this summer when he got into trouble, it was because he wasn't making a full body turn in the middle of the game. And that's whacked into left center field, base hit. And of course, that's exactly what the A's need to recapture a little momentum here after surrendering 2 first-inning runs.
And he's one of the fellows who will run for the A's. Now, it's a 2-0 ball game, but that doesn't mean anything. We're in the bottom of the first. So Social will have to keep an eye on him.
Polonia, as he stands at first, is a fellow who did so much better at home this year than on the road. I mean, we're talking about 70 points better. So it's no surprise to see him get a base hit. And now here's Dave Henderson. Henderson, 2 for 13, but he has struck out 6 times. Power hitter who pays the bill. There goes Polonia. Hit and run down the line. Foul.
Just said that a 2-0 ball game, you would think, well, let Henderson maybe get a swing and maybe tie it up. But in a ball game like this, LaRusse is sending a message back to Lasorda saying, hey, you think you can manufacture runs? I got some guys, not that many, but I'm going to be running too. We're not just going to play station to station and wait for the big guy to hit a 3-run homer.
Interesting, they would play hit and run on the first pitch with a man who has struck out almost half of his at-bats 6 times in 13 trips. And we'll watch Polonia. 0-1 to Dave Henderson. Remember, we also mentioned in the first game the Dodgers were trying to pitch Henderson up and in because of where he holds the bat. See where his hands are. They'd be close to his right hip. And they found that he turns quickly on that pitch. He can handle it. 0-1. Very close.
When you go diving back like that, you got the ultimate lead.
Polonia stole 24 bases during the regular year.
Close.
0-1 the count to Dave Henderson. 2-0 Dodgers, first inning. We're just starting up.
They're going to keep throwing because as Stewart tried to hold that ball on sacks, Belcher's going to throw over there and make Polonia dive back and try to take some of the spring out of his legs.
Interesting. Maybe Oakland will try and do a little mind games business with Belcher as the Dodgers tried to do with Welsh last night. 0-1 to Henderson. Fouled away off to the right, out of play, and the count 0-2. The lights have not taken effect. Brilliant sunshine, even at this local hour of coming up 5:45. So it might be a little tough to pick up that good fastball.
See Socia looking at the bench. See if anybody over there picked up anything.
No balls and 2 strikes. Foul back. So Dave is up there hacking. The count remains no balls and 2 strikes. Polonia at first. Nobody out. And the big guy on deck, Jose Canseco. Must be hard when you're pitching not to keep looking over at Canseco rather than the guy at the plate.
Better make up your mind not to look too often. So he put on an awesome display in batting practice in that special drill that he had.
No balls and 2 strikes. Knocked down, gets behind Socia. Polonia hesitated and then goes anyway.
He wasn't going to go, but Mike took a look at him, and as he took a look, he did not pick up the ball. And it's just a mistake on Scioscia's part, because if he picks up the ball, Polonia stops. Now, he's not gone. He sees the ball get away. Watch him take some quick steps. He wants to go right here. Now he's up, and he sees Mike can't pick it up. And when Scioscia doesn't get the handle, he goes in easily.
It'll be a pass ball, and of course it takes away the chance of a double play. Henderson hit into 14 double plays during the year, so he's a threat. So both catchers had trouble. 1 and 2. Little slider away. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Been relying on the fastball. He's only thrown a couple breaking balls. That one that Scioscia couldn't handle was a breaking ball, but if he picks it up immediately, Polonia doesn't go.
2 and 2 to Dave Henderson. And there's a hopper to first. Tricky hop, too. Stubbs did well to come up with that ball. It had some English on it. And it gets Polonia over to third. And here comes Canseco.
He hits the ball off the end of the bat. It's really not a good swing. And when you hit it off the end of the bat, you can see it snake. It starts back, and Stubbs really did a good job coming up with it.
Little pool hall shot there by Henderson as he cued it to first. And now here's Canseco. And I would think, among other things, you're wondering how many scoring fly balls did he have this year? He had a half a dozen. 2-0 Dodgers, first inning. Polonia at third with 1 out. Fisted and into the hole. Over to get it is Sachs and throws him out, but the gift run scores. So it is Christmas Day here at the Coliseum for each team.
That's a pretty good tip-off on the kind of stuff Belcher has to start this game, because Canseco, a fastball hitter, he got that ball inside and just jammed him. He just completely disarmed him.
So the Dodgers, who certainly don't figure to be able to slug with the A's at any time, and especially in a game that sees them without Gibson and Marshall, have already given back one of the 2 presents they received in the first inning. Dave Parker, the hitter. Parker went 3 for 6. You remember those 3 hits against Oral Hershiser. Missed the corner, ball 1.
Here's a guy who gives you a yardstick with hands, Vin. He keeps that hands on the top of the strike zone and tries to hit the ball below his hands, as we look at McGuire, who was last night's hero.
2 balls, no strikes. Belcher took his early exit last time in very good humor. The next day he said, well, all I know is a lot of parties in Sparta were over very early in the evening. Check swing foul, 2-1. You know, in talking about Belcher's early departure, an interesting thought in about the last 33 years, 28 starters in the World Series lasted 2 innings or less. Only 6 of them were ever given a second chance in that series. Belcher's the 7th. One of them was Don Larson, who pitched a perfect game. All 3. So 3-1 to Parker, and Mark McGuire on deck.
I think he's pitching according to the scouting report and really trying to be too fine with Parker.
In there, 3-2.
Parker's not going to get a better pitch than that right there, because right there, Belcher just reared back and pumped it right down the middle.
We'll see if they try to come in on his hands now. 3-2 with a fastball. And they did, and he got around on it to foul it away. Rene Latchman, who in a sense would be violating the rule getting out of the first base coaching box, but with Dave Parker, the hitter, they will allow him that luxury.
You don't want to give Parker any slow stuff. It's all hard stuff, and you get it inside, you tie him up like they did right there. It'd be interesting to watch if Manny Mota's out of that line, because the A's thought he was trying to give some location as he was standing out of the box and towards the field, and that's why they moved him last night.
3-2. Got him. And a pretty good fastball to blow him away. 1 run, 1 hit, and at the end of a wild first inning, 2-1 Dodgers. Followed by Jeff Hamilton and then Alfredo Griffin. You hear about a guy being born to the job. If your name is Danny Heap, your initials are perfect for the job. He's the DH tonight. Danny has not been a successful pinch hitter, and the Dodgers hoping he'll do something in this role. Strike. Remember, we mentioned that he was one of the hitters who would take a strike on Stewart. So he fouled one off and then took one. 0-2. And promptly bangs it up the middle. So Danny Heap, a line drive single to center. And the batter will be Jeff Hamilton. You know, you have a tendency around the fourth game of a World Series to say that it is starting to heat up. But this one started right at the outset. Remember, in game 1, Canseco was hit by a pitch in the first inning. Sachs was hit in the bottom of the first. There was a balk. I mean, we were off and running right after the anthem.
It was a high fastball with 2 strikes. I don't think Danny Heap could spot Stewart 2 strikes, and Stewart tried to waste one and got it in the strike zone, and Danny was ready for him.
Hamilton has been very quiet, both in the LCS and in the series. He started off very slowly in the LCS and then picked up the tempo a little bit. He hit safely in his last 3. The Dodgers are hoping that after a slow start in the World Series, he'll do the same thing.
There's the chart on Hamilton. As you can see, he pulled everything, jumped on the first pitch here to try to pull it. And I'll tell you, the defense pretty much straight away. They don't believe he's pulling that much. The key always is the center fielder and your shortstop.
No balls, 1 strike. 1-1. The Dodgers would play hit and run with Hamilton. A lot of reasons. One of them, he hates to take pitches anyway. He only walked 10 times during the entire year. So we'll watch and see if Lasorda tries to force a play again.
You know, if Lasorda had a plan to make him take, Ben, you would think that the 8th and 9th place hitters would be the guys that he would just say, hey, take a strike.
I don't really know what his plan is tonight because I've never seen him with a team with less firing power than this one.
I don't think he has either.
No. 1 ball, 1 strike. And there they go on a pitch out that was really a hit and run play. A high throw, got him anyway.
Danny Heap broke far too soon. He really gave it away, although the A's had it red all the way. There was nothing Hamilton can do to try to protect him. But you could see Heap really braked early. And look how fast he got out there. And there was nothing Hamilton could do. The throw was not what you would call a playbook throw, but Danny Heap's an easy out because the ball's there in plenty of time, even though it was high. He had to wait for him.
Well, Weiss made a good play to go up the ladder to get it and make the tag. Now they can concentrate on Hamilton, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That play was bad from the beginning. Heap broke too soon. The pitch out was too high. The catcher's throw was too high. The shortstop made a good play by making the tag.
2-2 to Hamilton. Fastball and a little fly ball into shallow right center. Here comes Henderson. Boy, he's a big man, but he can move.
Looked like he hit that ball right on the handle, and when you take a big swing, sometimes it's deceiving, especially this time of the day. Henderson makes a good play. There's that play again. Now it's way outside. Now look at the throw. Weiss really does a good job concentrating on catching the ball first and then making the tag. If he takes his eye off to look for the runner, he's going to drop it.
Alfredo Griffin, the batter, with 2 out. First ball swinging. That really absolutely flabbergasted me. Well, I have nothing else to say. I rest my case, Your Honor.
When you think that they're going to be making him pitch, and then that happens.
No runs, a hit, nobody left. 2-1 Dodgers. A reminder, tomorrow night at 8, The Cosby Show, followed by Game 5, except on the West Coast, where The Cosby Show will be seen following the game. Mark McGuire, Carney Lansford, and Terry Steinbach in that order. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Dodgers 2, A's 1. Big rip. Amazing how many fastballs Mark McGuire is getting. And last night, I think in his own words, he had gotten 7
of them.
And then jerked 1 out to win the game.
You know, that's changed. I remember in the game against the Mets, they threw Holton was throwing, I think, 7 curveballs there. I asked, so don't you feel like you have to break that up, like 7 fastballs, even bounce a curveball up to McGuire? He just felt that's what we could get him out on.
Watch this now. He's got no balls and 2 strikes. We'll see if they bounce a curveball up there.
I would think he'd have to throw a curveball here just to get him into the groove of throwing a curveball. He hasn't thrown that many breaking balls at all.
Fastball fouled away. So they stand with the Swift.
You never know what a pitcher has until you're in the game. He could warm up and give you good stuff on the sidelines and not have it in the game. There are more pitchers sent to the showers by bad pitch selection than opposing bats.
0-2 the count to Mark McGuire. And got him looking, and you know what it must be? McGuire saying, they're giving me so many fastballs, I know they've got to throw me a curve, and the Dodgers are saying, he's thinking that way, we'll stay with the fastball.
That may be. I kind of doubt it. What he did there was just make a perfect pitch on the outside corner, because 2 strikes, that's just a perfect pitch. Just to elaborate on that is because on the other thing I said, Ben, on pitch selection, you have to find the pitcher's best pitch that day.
1 ball and no strikes.
Now, if it is his fastball, you do have to occasionally advertise a curveball to show him that he's got it.
1 ball, no strikes. That'll even it up. When you talk about Belcher, basically a fastballer, and he can throw a cut fastball and a splitter, and he's been working on that curveball all year, so he probably still is not too confident about it.
He's got to use that splitter.
2-1. Carney Lansford, very aggressive hitter. And what we've seen, basically a high ball hitter. Missed down and away. So behind to Lansford, 3-1, and on deck, Terry Steinbach.
You would think when you're in the World Series, you're as sharp as you can get, but Lansford, he still goes beyond the center field fence and works in the cage before the game.
And he lifts one near the bag at second. Sachs will take charge. 2 down in the 2nd inning. And that'll bring up Steinbach. By the way, according to the gun, Lansford was pretty much jammed. He didn't get around on that, but there was very good reason. That was smoking at 94.
I'd like to see that gun. I think it's a fast gun. I really do. 94. That's a lot of speed.
He's capable of doing it.
I know he's capable of doing it, but I don't think that was 94. There are some guns that vary.
1 ball and no strikes to Terry Steinbach. Mike Brito with that Hillerick and Bradsby he smokes with the speed gun.
There was a splitter. Didn't split, but that was it. That was not the fastball. Steinbach likes the ball up out over the plate. That's where that one was. The breaking pitch. Belcher doesn't have that good a curveball. Try to jam him. Again, if you had one simple thing for Oakland, first ball fastball hitters.
Now behind 3-0 to Steinbach. During the regular year, he had 9 home runs, in case you're thinking about him getting a green light, with Hubbard to follow. Struck out a little bit more than he walked. Remember, he hit that home run in the All-Star game against Dwight Gooden. 3-1.
He didn't have much of an average going in there at 217, and I like what he said as we look at Tony La Russa. He said, hey, I'm no fluke, and Steinbach is not a fluke.
3 balls and 1 strike. 2 out, bases empty. Dodgers 2, A's 1, bottom of the 2nd inning. Darrell Cousins of the American League calling balls and strikes. Crawford, McCoy, and Harvey on the bases. Fremming and Merrill on the line. 3-2. Got him. So that's the 3rd strikeout for Belcher, who can bring it with the best of them. At the end of 2, it's 2-1 Dodgers. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
By Buick and your Buick dealer. The great American road belongs to Buick. And by Allied Van Lines, the one America trusts.
A beautiful shot from the Goodyear Blimp Columbia from Los Angeles, piloted by Captain Charles Russell from Downey, California. It's been 17 years since the Goodyear Blimp covered the first World Series night game in the Baltimore-Pittsburgh series. Steve Sachs, followed by Franklin Stubbs, and then Mickey Hatcher. Sachs, you remember, opened up the ball game and walked on a 3-2 pitch, scored on a pass ball, fouled away. 0-1.
If Lasorda's plan was to make him pitch and take strikes, it's just gone out the window the last 3 hitters. There he is right there, and I don't think he's too happy about it. He needs base runners, and they're going up hacking. Hamilton, 8th, Griffith, 9th, first pitch, Sachs, first pitch.
0-1. It's a terrible thing to say, but imagine walking away from this game with the memory of all Alfredo Griffin swinging at the first pitch. That's the most improbable thing we've seen tonight. 1-1. Ball 2.
Ben, we talked about Manny Mota being out of the coach's box, and he's just barely legal. He's got 1 foot on the coach's box, and that's what La Russa was objecting about. He said he's looking in and giving him location. If nothing else, he's playing irritant.
Fouled away. Borderline pitch that time. Sachs decided it was too close to the strike zone, so he took a hack, and the count 2-2. Dodgers 2 runs, 2 hits. A's 1 run, 1 hit, 1 error. We've had a pass ball on each side. Chopper charging Weiss. Big play. He's done it again. Boy, has that kid put on a show.
His reaction time is just amazing. He makes that decision right now, and he was going to get that ball so he wouldn't short hop it. He breaks, and he's going to get it on the big hop. He does right there.
You know, and he went to school at the University of North Carolina. 2 of his teammates were B.J. Surhoff and Scott Bankhead. They both went to the 1984 Olympic team. And, of course, here he is playing in the World Series. And what a series he's had. Walt Weiss. Remember, Stubbs hit a fastball and rang it like a bell right at Canseco. So Stewart that time came back off speed, and Franklin almost came out from under his helmet. 1-1. A low ball fastball hitter. And he drives this one to right center. Henderson going back. It's over his head and against the wall. Stubbs on his way for 2 and has a stand-up double.
See, he's been getting that fastball ahead, and Franklin has been jumping all over it. He's hit the ball hard twice, and that ball looked like a high fastball, and boom, you saw what he did with it.
Stewart had come in with a good change, but followed right there with that fastball.
Stayed right with it. You could see those eyes. I'd be willing to bet if you asked him, he said, yes, I did see that ball in bat meat.
Hatcher single to right. Remember, a key hit and run play. It set up 1, and then he came around to score. And he pops it in the air on the first pitch. Polonia.
Henderson right there talking to him, too.
And coming up now will be Mike Davis. It's interesting when you just look at the 2 lineups. Henderson had 24 home runs during the regular year, and he's hitting in the number 2 slot. Stubbs in the number 2 slot for the Dodgers had 8. Then you get down to the number 3 slot. Jose Canseco had 42.
That's unfair, man.
And Hatcher had 1.
That's unfair.
And then you want to draw cleanup? Line drive off Weiss's glove, I believe. I think he should have caught that ball, and the run is in.
He nonchalanted that ball. He thought he had it all away, and he knows it. He did not concentrate on that ball. He's going to make the one-hand grab, and he got burned. He knows it.
The Dodgers know they've got to run to lead 3-1.
And the gift packages keep arriving. That ball was hit hard, no question about it, but he's right there. I mean, he doesn't have to jump or anything. Just barely has to get up, and he should have had that ball.
It's going to be an error charged to Weiss, and isn't that the life of the ball player, though? He just makes a fine play on Steve Sachs, and that look on his face told it all. But you talk about peaks and valleys.
And he knows it. Davis really goes with the pitch. It's outside, hits it hard. But he's right there, just didn't catch it. And LaRussa out there talking to his pitcher, just kind of settling him down and say, hey, look, things are happening, but we're going to be all right. That picture really says it all right there.
So the Dodgers lead 3-1 in the third inning. And John Shelby coming up. Shelby slammed the ball off Stewart's glove, deflected to Hubbard, who threw him out, and on the play, Hatcher scored. John almost broke his leg. He did pick up an RBI.
Tell you, they about had him. They about had Mike Davis. He was leaning.
He's a pretty good base runner. He's stolen 7 out of 10, but the combination of inactivity, plus he's not that familiar with Stewart's move.
He wants to make that impression. He wants to try to erase the year that he's had in this series, and he's going to try everything.
Shelby hits a high drive into left center, but Henderson is there. So the Dodgers get a run on a hit and an error. Leave a man, and it is 3-1 Dodgers, bottom of the third.
Walt Weiss is the second hitter. Watch Bob Watson, the coach, give him that little tap as and say, come on, forget about it, get a base hit. That's a little tough to do.
He went to Suffer in high school, and that's exactly what he's doing, even though it doesn't spell the same way.
Oh, okay.
Hubbard, Weiss, and Polonia. 3-1 Dodgers here in the third inning. Hubbard 3 for 9. He's having a good series.
I tell you, even before Weiss gets in the batter's box, if I'm Weiss, I'm going to bunt and try to beat it out. Hubbard on or Hubbard not on. Just as shown that I'm going back to my game and I'm going to get on base. See what happens.
Balls, 1 strike, the count to Glenn Hubbard. That was a cut fastball, just ran away. 1-1. Tim Belcher in the bottom of the third, leading 3-1. He went 2 innings in game 1. 1 and 2.
Getting a lot of ball players. LaRussa is one of them. Belcher's another one. That 1 cap a year school. They just put that thing on opening day, and that's it. They're superstitious about it.
1 and 2 to Glenn. Now back. Always admired Hubbard back in, well, 10 years ago when he first came up with the Atlanta Braves. Just the kind of a scrapper, a little guy playing with the big guys. And it's no surprise that he's hitting .333 in the World Series right now.
The thing about baseball, it's not how big you are.
Off speed, got him.
There was the best breaking ball he threw. Right there. Not only did it break big, he changed speeds, and he just... Hubbard could do nothing but just do what he did. Shake his head and say, why me does he have to make that pitch? Watch it. Look at Sochi set up outside. He takes something off, and look at it break down. Tough pitch.
Yeah, that's $1 million pitch to wrap up Hubbard. It's also the 4th strikeout for Tim Belcher, who struck out 8 in a game 3 times this year. Now here's Weiss. Let's see if he lays a little angry on the ball or what. He'll look at a strike.
Stubbs is playing pretty far back, man, for a guy who's known to bunt. That's the scouting report on him. He can bunt either way. If he drags it past Belcher, it's he can walk down there.
No balls, 1 strike. Of course, you know, in talking about Alfredo Griffin swinging at the first pitch, how about last night when the tiebreaker was at first, nobody out, bottom of the 8th, and Walt Weiss swung away and hit a fly ball.
I asked LaRussa about that. He said Hasse is one of the toughest base runners to get to second base, and during the season what we want to do is let him swing at the first pitch, but it's got to be from the middle of the plate in, and even if he fouls it off, then that pulls the infielders in on the corners, and what he did is swing at a pitch that was really not from the middle of the plate in and popped it up, and of course there goes all your strategy.
2-1. Fisted foul off third, down the line, out of play.
And I listened to all that, and I said, Tony, Uncle Al Lopez down in Tampa, who's your good friend and mentor, would say, Tony got a bunt.
You know, someone was saying, La Russa said Weiss is great at handling that high fastball up the middle. And I know a Dodger who said, well, then why doesn't he do it all year? Just off the corner, ball 3. We've got 1 out in the 3rd. Dodgers 3, A's 1. Wall trying to get aboard, working on a full count. Hits it down the left field line, peeling foul and out of play. You know, we still have a couple of things alive. The A's here in the Coliseum, they've won 6 straight World Series games. But even more importantly is a definite trend. It can't be a coincidence anymore. We have had 13 consecutive victories by the home team in the World Series. County, that was last night. 3-2. Fouled away. Now you say, well, 13 straight, that's a big deal. But it is a big deal because over the years in the history of the World Series, the home team won 54%. In other words, barely break even, just a little more. And now suddenly 13 in a row. So it has to be the DH advantage in the American League Park and without it in the National League Park to keep that home streak going. Line drive at Stubbs. He picked it off before it hit the ground. Jerry Crawford right there to call it. That's the second good play Stubbs has made. He made one on the ball Henderson cued his way, and now on this one.
The batter.
Like he even broke a little bit late, but it's on that glove side, so he gets a break. And he makes a good play, and he shows the umpire, hey, I got it. He did break late. Being the left-handed thrower, the edge was being the glove on the right hand.
8 in a row retired by Belcher now since the leadoff single by Luis Polonia. And here's the man himself. Luis single to left, took second on a pass ball, and eventually came around on a couple of ground balls.
It was a split finger that just stayed up there.
One ball, one strike. You talk about the Oakland A's and you think of the big guys, and everyone talks about the Cansecos and the Parkers, but how about the little big oaks, the little men who make tremendous contributions? Here they are.
They're really in danger, though, if a fight breaks out, because the other team will be looking for these guys.
1 ball and 1 strike. Ball 2, 2-1. Dodgers 3, A's 1. Bottom of the 3rd, 2 out. Tell you one thing, Belcher has that very good, easy rhythm that he didn't have in his first game.
And when he was struggling, he was up, up, up. Tonight, he started pretty close to the strike zone. He's been down. He has had some pitches up, but for the most part, he's been down with them.
Deuce is wild on Polonia, who wears number 22. And we go full. Dodgers scored 2 in the first. The A's came right back with 1. The Dodgers added 1 in the 3rd, and that's it. On deck, Dave Henderson. Got him. And that's 9 in a row. 5 strikeouts for Belcher. At the end of 3, 3-1 Dodgers. Mike Socia to start it off takes a strike in the 4th inning with the Dodgers leading the A's 3-1. Socia flied to center in the 1st inning. One surprise, and I don't know whether he's fallen into the bad habit as he strokes one into right field for a base hit. Socia had not hit a ground ball in the series, and that's unlike him. That would be his 13th at bat. And he had 9 balls hit in the air and 2 strikeouts. And when there's such a severe trend, you're wondering about an uppercut. But he just laid the bat on that pitch. And as you can see, Kurt Young going down to the bullpen to begin loosening up. The Dodgers with 4 hits against Stewart, leading 3-1. And here's Heap. Ball 1. They might very well have had Heap going up there to take a pitch. a veteran hitter who singled to center in the second inning and was thrown out, remember. Despite a high throw, it was a fine catch and tag by Walt Weiss. No speed at all here for the Dodgers. No weapon there with Socia at first and Heap at the plate.
Danny Heap, when you back out the batter's box, that says to the coach, I'm not sure of that sign. Give it to me again if there is a sign, or he can decoy, but he's asking him to go through the routine.
Went after a pitch up, fouled it back, 1-1. When you were playing, what was your sign that you didn't get the sign? Would you please repeat it? What'd you do?
There were 3 different things. Backing out of the box, rubbing across always meant no, or just stepping out and grabbing a handful of dirt that said, hey, give it to me again.
Probably hasn't changed that much.
No, when he backed out, that's what Joey Malfitano did at third.
2 balls and 1 strike. Where Belcher is throwing harder and looser, Stewart doesn't look the same tonight. And remember, he went 8 innings and walked only 2. He doesn't have quite the velocity or location, at least in the early inning. 2-1. And he's behind again now, ball 3.
He's not relying on that good fastball is what's happening. He's trying to finesse it, and he is a good pitcher. You win that many games, you have to be, but he's not rearing back and doing it with the pitch that got him to that plateau.
At first I thought, well, maybe it's early and the lights haven't taken effect, but now I firmly believe he's not throwing that hard. There goes Socia, and it's a strike. And somebody missed something there.
You can see Amalfitano just standing there.
And Socia hurt his ankle. It is not the foot or ankle with the orthopedic shoe. It's the other one. Danny Heap takes a 3-1 pitch, and it might cost the Dodgers a catcher. And they've already lost Gibson and Marshall.
3-1, it's an automatic hit. I mean, unless they give you a take sign. So if you don't see the take sign and you get a hit and run sign, I mean, it's just a real bad play on the part of Danny Heap, because you're not going to have Socia with the straight steal. Once again, you saw Shelby just barely escape injury, but Socia looks like he's really hurting. I tell you, I said to Fred Clare before the game, I said, are you going to have enough of the team pitcher? And he said, I don't know. And look at here.
Well, Danny Heap, who has to feel more than just embarrassed and mortified, promptly bangs it to center, and it's hooking, and Henderson stays with it. Boy, did he hit that hard, but the damage was done because he didn't swing. And you can see Dempsey turning his cap around. He's going to have to go to work, and that takes away a great deal from the Dodgers now.
You could see Socia looking to see what happened, and oh, he really jammed it when he went into that bag. He was looking back because it was a hit-and-run play, and he just went into that base very hard.
So you talk about an expensive mistake. Danny Heap really made one.
I'll tell you, that was a perfect shot of a guy looking back on the hit-and-run play to see where the ball was hit.
And that's hammered over Weiss into left center, but the Dodgers have made perhaps 2 big ones. We know Heap made a mistake. Now they might have lost Socia, and Hamilton gets a single, and you can see Socia can't even stand. And Dempsey's going to have to take over. We talk about a costly mistake. That's really paying a price. So it is Stewart who is leading the charmed life for the moment. They're hitting him hard. He's allowed 5 hits. But the Dodgers have played poorly offensively, and they've really paid for it. Here is Alfredo Griffin. Ball 1.
If he hits the ball in the air, then you know Socia's not going to slide, but missing it, he knows he's in no man's country, and he really got close to that bag. That's what hurt right there.
But to take it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, if he hits the ground ball, Socia's still going to slide, but he hears the ball and sees the ball hit.
1-1 to count. I've been waiting for Alfredo Griffin to bunt on every pitch. He's had that bad a year. I asked him before the ball game, I said, if I say to you Oakland Coliseum, what comes to mind? He said, nothing. I said, what do you mean nothing? He said, my mind is a blank. I said, oh, come on, you played here a couple of years. Think of something. And he finally said, well, I hit a home run against Brett Saberhagen here once.
Let me tell you, that should work with him. There you see it. And I mean, right there, he was close. He didn't even get the right leg. It kind of stopped. I wonder if it's his ankle or his knee, Vin. As I look at that, it looks like his knee, because his slide stopped.
Little foul off to the left and out of play.
One of the great speeches that the great Branch Rickey used to give would always be, don't think when you go to hit. Full mind, empty bat. That's the way he would always say it. If you got an empty mind, your bat should be full.
But supposing the bat's empty, too.
That's what I'm saying. He's going against it.
You're really in trouble.
If you're thinking too much, full mind, empty bat. If you got empty mind, should be full bat, but he defies that law.
1-2 to Alfredo Griffin. 2 out in the 4th. 3-1 Dodgers. Foul ball. Rick Dempsey, who was the most valuable player in the 1983 World Series, who begged the Dodgers to give him a look at Vero Beach, will now be the catcher. And the way Socia left, it's questionable that Socia could play tomorrow. Well, the Dodgers short enough, and they are really short. 1-2. 2-2. You figure you're not going to see Tudor anymore. You might not see Socia. If Marshall can't play in the World Series, he's got to really be hurting, and Gibson can't play. Belcher and Dempsey, who are very close buddies, are now thrown together because of fate. They live close enough to share rides to the ballpark in Southern California. Stewart goes 3-2 to Griffin.
I don't think they'll have any problem working together for that very reason, Ben. I know that it was Dempsey who kind of guided Belcher.
They're very close.
How to act at the World Series.
3-2, so Hamilton will be going, although that's not a big threat. Line drive at McGuire. So the Dodgers really messed up the 4th inning offensively and come up empty and lose a catcher along the way. Quite a story unfolding now as Mike Socia leaves the field and Rick Dempsey will take over. Every manager hates to change catchers, especially when a pitcher is on a roll, and Belcher's on a roll. He'd retired 9 in a row and struck out 5. And an even more important question might be popping up in your mind if Socia cannot come back. Henderson, Canseco, and Parker coming up in the 4th inning. Dodgers 3, A's 1. Fouled away. The question is, if Socia is injured, can he be replaced? And the answer is no.
I think that rule really needs to be looked into, because I don't know of any club that would not want to play the other club in the World Series at full strength. If it's a legitimate injury, then I think they ought to be able to replace the player. Now, if it's going to be like the DL, which is the most manipulated rule I've ever seen, I mean, managers have a tough time deciding whether it's a 15-day or a 21-day DL, then I say no. But if it's a legitimate injury, you got to have your best. You got to give the other guy a chance.
No balls and 2 strikes to count to Dave Henderson. Belcher with 5 strikeouts. Still 0-2. The rule was put in naturally to prevent cheating, to prevent chicanery of any kind. But when you see a man obviously injured in an obvious play, if he is not replaced, the Dodgers could conceivably, remember, Lasorda started with 24. He's down to 20. That is some advantage for the A's. Plus, with 1 catcher, there's no way he can put in a pinch runner for him. and supposing Dempsey sticks a finger in a foul ball. 1-1.
It definitely is a rule that needs looking into. But I think like the DL, there were times it was a joke. I mean, blisters, hangnails, just so they want to make roster moves. That shouldn't be.
Line drive right over the shoulder of Belcher. Now, sure, it's probably coincidental, but the Dodgers have to change catchers, and suddenly 9 in a row. That's broken on a hard single by Henderson, and here comes the guy who can get the A's even with one swing.
Here's a pitch that our crew downstairs saw something. Bottom of the second. Now watch Scioscia. Hey, he was limping up as he got out of there, but you wonder if it, because he was down in the crouch, but it may have been a tip-off.
Canseco jammed in the first inning, rolled out to Sachs. 1-1. Stubbs now trying to break the crowd for the moment and get back and get Belcher into sync, as well as talk about coming over to first base.
Dempsey was looking over towards the bench and somebody hollered something and Stubbs went in. That's something they did not do at Dodger Stadium when Belcher was in trouble. Nobody went out to see him. He was really the lonesome man.
Henderson stole only 2 bases during the year, and you wouldn't expect him to be gambling since Canseco is the tying run. 2 balls and no strikes. Now he's behind, and the whole rhythm of his game has been broken. 3-0. And Dempsey said, I got to talk to him. I got to somehow change him back to the way he was before I went behind the plate.
You really don't have any strategy to talk about. You're just trying to break a mood is what you're trying to do as we look at La Russa and Lasorda. It's tough to change catchers. It really is. You're working nicely. It's like tongue and groove for a carpenter. And all of a sudden, the least little thing, and it can really work against you.
3-0. And he walked him. The tying runs are aboard with nobody out. That's Joe Ferguson standing next to Tommy Lasorda. And that's Ron Perranoski going out to the mound. The big thing that Perranoski wants to caution Belcher about is don't get to aiming the ball. That's when he really gets hurt. And if you aim one with Parker up there, the A's would be ahead as Leary goes down to the bullpen.
You always worry about that first pitch after the base on balls. You want to just make sure you get it over for a strike with not too much on it, and you're going to be in trouble. He's going to have to really rear back and let it fly free and easy.
Now the book is to jam Parker. But if you don't jam him, he'll jam you. And he's got Henderson at second, Canseco at first, nobody out. And he worked him away.
I'll tell you one difference. You can remember when Scioscia was catching, he was always giving the target down.
Belcher is in trouble. And down in the bullpen, Brian Holton gets up to throw back of him. He's lost his rhythm. That's a strike. 1-1.
Get that ball up a little bit, and that is really in Parker's power. Jam him, don't give him any off-speed stuff where he can pull it.
3-1 Dodgers, bottom of the fourth. A's in business, first and second, nobody out. 1-2. Canseco standing at first, Henderson at second. And where Canseco is a marvelous base runner, Henderson is not. The Cobra played in the '79 series for the Bucks. 1 ball and 2 strikes. twice at 4 pitches where you stayed away. Mark McGuire, who follows Parker, on deck. Two balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Griffin trying to bird dog Henderson at second. And Parker backing out. No pitch. You wonder, why does the batter get his request granted immediately on time, and it's for safety? Oh, sure, it's unfair that the pitcher might have time called just as he's ready to deliver the ball. But for safety reasons, if the batter says time, he's gotten it. 2-2. Got him.
Split finger.
6 strikeouts, and the Cobra goes back in the basket. 1 out. And you could see Lasorda say, that's a big out.
Mark McGuire.
Watch the rotation on this ball, and you can see it. There it was. Look at those fingers spread. That rotation tells you it's a split finger, and it was in a great spot, and he was way out in front.
The camera shows you that split finger that tumbles, which is the one that Belcher has. The one that Leary throws is like a hard sinker fastball. McGuire fouls it away. 0-1.
That was another one. You could see it break down. McGuire hit a lot of first pitch home runs last year, and even his coach Lefevre says those were those kind of get him over for a strike fastballs, and he jumped on them. Now this year they're challenging him from the start, and he's not getting that BP fastball to start him off to get ahead of him.
0-1 to Mark. Henderson at second, Canseco at first, 1 out in the 4th. Dodgers 3, A's 1. Fastball popped up into right center. Shelby is calling. He's the captain out there. The runners have to hold. So 2 down in the 4th inning. And another dangerous hitter coming up, Carney Lansford. Everyone tells you about Lansford. They always say, watch out for the first pitch. And immediately Belcher is met at the mound by Dempsey, perhaps to remind him of just that. Don't get careless. Don't just try to get up front and get ahead of him. He's liable to take your head off on that first pitch.
Well, one of the things when you get the 2 big guys like he just got, Parker and McGuire, after the first 2 get on, you almost breathe a sigh of relief. And what Dempsey is reminding him, hey, we got 1 more out to get. And he goes over the thing saying this is a first ball fastball hitter. So we're going to throw that fastball. Here's where I want it, and keep the good stuff on it.
2 on, 2 out, 4th inning, 3-1 Dodgers. 4-1. Terry Steinbach on deck. In the inning, Henderson was 0-2, fought his way back and singled to center, and then Canseco walked. Parker struck out. McGuire flied to center. Breaking ball and a one-hopper, tricky and played by Stubbs. Another pool hall shot, and it's the 3rd good play that Franklin Stubbs has made, and Belcher's out of the jam. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
This ball really acts like a curveball from a right-hander in the dirt. Watch it bounce the opposite way to his right. That was not an easy play by any means. When that ball hits the dirt off the end of the bat like that, it always bounces the opposite way. And I tell you, Stubbs has done a good job, Vin.
That's 3 good plays to bail out Tim Belcher. And we move on to the 5th inning. 3-1 Dodgers. It'll be Sachs, Stubbs, and Hatcher. Kurt Young is up for the 2nd time in the A's bullpen. Sachs walked, grounded out. There's Kurt.
Mike Scioscia, the report, a twisted right knee. That slide, remember we talked about how his right knee just kind of stopped and never did carry, and that's what he has.
Dr. Frank Jobe left his seat, orthopedic surgeon, and I'm sure you've heard that name if you're a baseball fan. So it's Dr. Jobe who is down in the Dodger clubhouse checking Socha's knee.
Mickey Hatcher had the right idea. He said Dr. Job is flying in supplies.
They're arriving any moment. 1-1. Good pitch. There's a little fork ball, and the bottom dropped out of it. 1-2. There's Hatch.
He's something. I said, when do you know when you're going to play or what you're going to play? He said, I look at Russell's thumb. If it's up, I'm playing, but I don't know where.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball to the right side to Hubbard. 1 out in the 5th. Dodgers leading 3-1, and Franklin Stubbs coming up. Lined out hard to right in the first inning. Doubled to right center and scored a run, and has made 3 fine plays defensively, and he has really been on Stewart. So let's see what he does with his third at bat. Franklin, big kid out of North Carolina. Ball 1. The count. Dodgers scored 2 in the first. The A's came right back with 1. Dodgers added a run in the third, and that's it. The A's squandering a big opportunity in the 4th inning. Off speed, and he missed with it away. Hatcher on deck, then Mike Davis. Overthrew that one. He was trying to throw harder than he can tonight on that pitch. That's why it was so high and away. He released it so early. That thing is up and going to stay up there for a while. Steinbach makes the play. And Stubbs is angry. I think Franklin felt that he had a pitch he could really drive, and he just got under it.
He hit it hard to hit it that high, and when Steinbach flipped his mask, his cap came off, he really has to dance his way through there. Now he gets under it. You can see him uppercut that ball. Now watch when Steinbach gets the mask off, drops him right there. Now he has to really go in between them. A bit dangerous, and I tell you, that was a tough play.
Where's Mickey Hatcher? Ball 1. Hatcher single to right. It was a hit-and-run single. Sachs went to third and eventually scored on a pass ball. Last time up, flied to left.
You know, Kurt Gibson and Oral Hershiser get all the headlines, but if you had a vote most valuable player now, this guy would get a lot of votes.
Yeah.
He's been grinding it out every game.
Fly ball back of third, down the line, a trio of A's. Weiss in the middle, picks it off. Dodgers gone in order.
Some guys look at this.
A reminder, tomorrow night at 8 p.m., The Cosby Show, followed by Game 5 of the World Series, except on the West Coast, where The Cosby Show will be seen following the game. Bottom of the 5th inning. Dodgers 3, A's 1. Terry Steinbach, Glenn Hubbard, and Walt Weiss. See the scores? I wonder if they're not just trying to stick a little pin in the Dodgers with that reminder. It is the Bay Area against Southern California. Steinbach struck out in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1. Line down the left field line in the corner. Base hit. Steinbach makes the turn and will hold. Good play by Hatcher to get it into Griffin.
He did it last night. He does it again. Keeps the double play in order. Steinbach he's hit the ball harder consistently than anybody in the A's lineup. This ball well hit, and Hatcher in left field plays it just absolute dead perfect and keeps Steinbach at first base. Barehanded, gets it back in, and the double play stays in order.
So Terry Steinbach, 4 for 9 in the series, and the batter is Glenn Hubbard. Hubbard struck out in the 3rd inning, hitting .300 in the series. Steinbach a short lead. Remember, Belcher was very shaky in the 4th inning. The gave up the base hit to Henderson, the walk to Canseco. Then he fought his way off the ropes. We'll see now what he does as Brian Holden is up again back of him. 1 ball, no strikes.
Vinny's A's have 3 base hits, but they've all led off innings, and that's always seems to be the rally starter when you get that leadoff man on. But Belcher's been able to get out of it.
1-1 to Glenn Hubbard. Weiss on deck. 3-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 5th inning. One and two. Got him, and he just punches out Hubbard, and that gives him 7 strikeouts. Remember, his high this year 8, and he has 7 in 4 1/3 innings.
Usually you look for a breaking ball for the ground ball, but Belcher had his mind made up on strikeout. He just reared back and just threw it right on by him.
Now here's Walt Weiss. He hit the ball hard in the 3rd inning, and Franklin Stubbs made a fine play on it. Stubbs has made plays on Henderson, Weiss, and Lansford. Fisted foul, 0-1.
And he was way behind on it, so he has not lost anything off that fastball.
Bottom of the 5th inning with 1 out, no balls and 1 strike, the count to Walt Weiss. The Dodgers leading the A's 3-1, and Terry Steinbach at first, held on by Franklin Stubbs. The starting pitchers still in there, Dave Stewart and Tim Belcher. And that's hit to center, but Shelby was right there.
There's your scouting report right there. Those things just don't happen. That's advanced knowledge.
We mentioned earlier that, and we saw one quick shot of him, the so-called eye in the sky for the Dodgers is in the dugout, Joe Ferguson. If you're old enough to remember the '74 Dodger A's series, Joe Ferguson played right field, caught a fly ball away from Jimmy Wynn off the bat of Reggie Jackson, and threw Sal Bando out at the plate. He, I guess, will always be remembered for that.
Much like they played Weiss to left center field, Shelby is way over now. There you see Ferguson.
Fouled away. Polonia, single to left, worked his way around to score in the 1st inning and then struck out in the 3rd. 0-2.
They have swung way around. Hatcher's near the line. Shelby in left center field. There you see it. Look at all that room in right center field. So it's up to Belcher to make him hit that way. Hit it from center field, from the bag over to the left field line. That's his job if he's going to make him hit it at all.
They just brought Sachs in about 3 feet, and he's way over to his right, but they brought him in more. He was playing him too deep. 1-2. See where Sachs is? He was out on the grass until they brought him into that spot. So this is really controlled, Joe. You make a mistake here and you have a rabbit at the plate. That's why you have some wide open spaces. Little foul off 3rd, very doubtful. Hamilton will not have a play.
That's one of the big changes I think that's happened in baseball. Managers are surrounding themselves with coaches who have a specific job, defense, infielders, outfielders. It used to be you'd make a deal in the minor leagues. Hey, if I get to the big leagues as a manager, you're coming with me, and the prime requisite that they could go out and have a beer together. That's not the way it works now.
Too much money at stake.
As we told you last night, if you wonder who that gentleman is, it's George Pfister, former major leaguer working out of the commissioner's office.
1-2. Good save, 2-2. They're going to check at 3rd. Doug Harvey says no swing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Terry Steinbach, who singled sharply to left. Good play by Hatcher to hold him to a single. He's still there. 2-2 to Luis Polonia. And that's hit in the air to shallow left center. Shelby coming on to make the play. No runs, 1 hit, and at the end of 5, 3-1 Dodgers.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by Nissan, inviting you to test drive the new 240 SX.
Top of the 6th inning, 3-1 Dodgers. Mike Davis, John Shelby, and then Rick Dempsey on the corner. Davis hit a ground ball, as you see Oral Hershiser, who figures to get the call tomorrow night. Davis hit the ground ball kicked by Hubbard. And then last time up was aboard on the error charge to Weiss, and this time he lines to Hubbard. So he's playing pepper with the infield. One away. After the disappointing year he's had, if ever anybody wanted to do something particularly here in Oakland, it would be Mike Davis.
And he's hit the ball hard. Just no base hits.
And he's got an 0 for 3. John Shelby. Now the Dodgers starting to hack at the first pitch with Stewart. And Steinbach makes a good play. That's a little strange. Stewart is not going hard. To give you an idea, and I realize that you can do whatever you want with numbers, but when Stewart faced the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, he struck out 5 in 8 innings. Tonight, he has not struck out a batter. And it's a different pitcher out there.
He's not throwing as hard as he did at Dodger Stadium. And once again, the foul ball area here does come into play. That ball, Steinbach had a lot of room to make that play.
Rick Dempsey, his first at bat. Breaking ball, 1-0. Dempsey, the most valuable player in the '83 World Series, and now becomes very valuable with Mike Socia with a twisted knee. We have no further report on Socia. I guess you put him under that dreaded line day to day.
Like Marshall.
Danny Heap on deck. Dempsey facing Dave Stewart. 3 balls and no strikes. Dempsey had a very bad experience at Cleveland. He had his thumb broken in a collision with Bo Jackson. That would be a bad experience. And he's got himself ball 4.
Stewart had a chance to have an easy inning when Shelby popped up on the first pitch, but this base on balls is going to make him work for his next out.
Well, now here comes Danny Heap, and I'm sure he is a much chagrined Danny Heap. He singled in the 2nd inning, but remember in the 4th. 3 ball, 1 strike count. Socia going. Heap looked at the 2nd strike, and Socia was injured, sliding into second base, and had to leave. Out away. 0-1. Once again, we have the opportunity. We remind our viewers we'll be selecting the NBC Miller Lite Player of the Game at the conclusion of the ballgame. McGuire, as you can see behind Dempsey, they're not worrying about him, and they'd rather have a glove with a left-handed hitter. Hard at Hubbard, but he stays with it. So the Dodgers leave Dempsey at the end of 5 1/2. Dodgers 3, A's 1. There might be a little story here. We told you the background about Joe Ferguson in the '74 World Series. The fact that he's the Dodger eye in the sky. He was not allowed in the dugout during the league championship series. However, the commissioner's office has allowed him to be in the Dodger dugout, and I'm wondering if that's really the case, or if perhaps Oakland felt there was some advantage to Los Angeles having him with the walkie-talkie up above the playing field. It's rare that he's back in the dugout, I'll tell you that.
It really is. I'm just trying to... Why would it even bother him if he'd be up here?
There's a base hit to left field for Dave Henderson. So that means the leadoff man continues to get on in the 1st inning, in the 4th inning, in the 5th inning, and in the 6th inning. So 4 of the 6 leadoff singles, and here's the big guy again. Boy, you talk about doing things the hard way. You're leading by 2, and you let him come up representing the tying run.
And followed by Parker and McGuire.
And Holton down in the fifth.
And Horton, it looked like.
4-1. Ricky Horton, a left-hander. Brian Holden, the right-hander. And no mistake as to who's at the plate.
And he's not looking for any signs, is he?
1 ball and no strikes. On the fists. Jammed him. Foul. Stubbs in a hurry. Backhands it. That's his 4th big play, and he could have only made it here at the Coliseum.
And he had a wall of Dodgers there ready to protect him, and that's a big, big play by Franklin Stubbs, who was put in because of the bat. And Lashman is arguing. Yes, they're going to argue. Watch it here. A lot of room in foul territory. Now, does somebody help him up?
You know, if he falls down in the dugout, the runner at first can advance. That's the argument. Sure.
Ground rule.
Where did he fall? Take a look at the dugout. Is he in it or on the top or what? Can't see.
Well, it's a top step where he falls. He's in it.
Yeah, because the rule says that you can go into a dugout to catch a foul ball, but if you go down in that dugout, the base runner advances, and that was the Oakland argument.
He makes the catch here outside the dugout. He's on the top step, takes 2 steps, 3, and now he's in. And Hershiser and those guys pointed, hey, base runner's at first base, and he's going to stay there.
That's the 4th brilliant defensive play by Franklin Stubbs. And to take an at-bat away from Canseco really makes it a play. And here now is Dave Parker. 1-0.
Tell you, in this park, that's the only park. Maybe Atlanta you could make it, but that's a lot of room.
Where is he?
The momentum carries him in.
Then they kind of push him out. And I can understand the Oakland argument. 1 ball and no strikes. And Jose thinking of what might have been. One ball and 1 strike the count to Dave Parker. And he goes the other way to Hatcher in left field because he didn't get the bat around. That was a pretty good pitch. If Parker can't get it around, Dave didn't get it more off his shoulder than anything else.
They jammed him. McGuire's had some good pitches to hit. He had 2 good pitches to hit at first time at bat. Here's the pitch to Parker. He just got tied up. You could see he didn't get those big arms out there to where he could really whip that bat into it. And Belcher, 2 big outs, and here's McGuire.
And another guy who can get you even in a hurry. Struck out, flied to center, 0 for 2. Dodgers 3, A's 1, bottom of the 6th inning, 2 out. Foul ball, and even Stubbs tonight can't catch that one.
Belcher's going right after McGuire. At first time at bat, 4 good fastballs. And the second time at bat, it looked like the ball that he hit to center field was the same pitch he hit into the seats last night.
Parker, Hubbard deep in thought. It's still 3-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 6th. McGuire with Lansford to follow. And Henderson, the leadoff man at first. Fouled away, 0-2.
There's no finessing going on here. He's going with strength.
0-2 the count to Mark McGuire.
Great study of McGuire regrouping and Belcher deciding on this pitch.
Cut fastball. Boy, did that thing jump. 1-2.
Spotted it well, an outside part of the plate. He's going for that corner. If you miss, that's where you want to miss. Because if that ball goes towards the batter, it's going to be right over the plate. You know what this fella can do with it.
1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out. Henderson at first. Bottom of the 6th inning, 3-1 Dodgers. And Dempsey going out to the mound.
They just want to make sure on this particular pitch that it's the one of decision where exactly he wants it and get a meeting of the minds. whatever sign he puts down. They've talked about this pitch and the next one. Griffith just listening, shaking his head. No,
Dempsey is 39 years old. As he goes behind the plate, he has been catching professionally since 1967. And he first came up to the big leagues in 1969 with Minnesota. So he's trying to use the experience and maturity to help bail out Belcher.
Belcher's made 96 pitches, if you're wondering.
Fouled away. Tony La Russa seeing leadoff men get aboard. So far, he's been able to cash in one. Tommy Lasorda has been worrying about Belcher since the 4th inning. Remember, he had 9 in a row retired until Socia was hurt. Ball 3, and that will turn Henderson loose with 2 out. It also means Stubbs gets off the bag, and Carney Lansford waits on deck. Stubbs, the age-old sign to the pitcher, one wrist over the other, and I'm off the bag. Henderson ready to go. 3-2. Fouled away.
He just is living on that outside part of the plate. When he's missed, he's been outside.
Dodgers with 2 in the first. The A's bounce right back with 1. Dodgers got 1 in the 3rd, and that's it. We're now in the bottom of the 6th, 2 out. And last night's hero, Mark McGwire, at the plate. 3-2. Henderson goes. Ball 4. I don't really think in his heart that Belcher wanted that much of McGwire.
Well, I don't think he was pitching around him, because he came too close with those other pitches, but he was not going to give in to him. If he was going to miss, he was going to miss the outside part of the plate. He wasn't going to say, hey, here, hit it if you can. He wasn't going to challenge him that way.
He started him off, no balls, 2 strikes, and then after that, he was trying to paint, trying to get the black.
He was trying to live on that corner and may have overthrown it a little bit, that last one. Watch the first ball on this guy, though.
Remember, he popped up and then grounded out to Stubbs, so he's hungry. Ball 1. So Belcher, in his second troublesome inning, along with the first inning when he gave up a run, got out of a jam in the 4th. Ball 2, and that was more of a save by Dempsey, otherwise wild pitch.
He really caught that ball well. He got the body in front of it, and you know that Belcher just threw way beyond himself. Peranowski's going to come out and talk to him as if to say, look, you've had pretty good stuff so far. You can't do it by yourself. Just be yourself and throw that good fastball that you have.
Now, again, we get back to the 2 things about Belcher. In the middle of the game, he has a habit of not turning his body enough. And the other thing is, and the main concern of Peranowski right now, is that he will aim. He falls into that habit. And with behind 2 balls and no strikes, if he aims, that first inning fastball that was fouled back into the seats could be a bolt of lightning. Runners at first and second. McGwire at first. Henderson at second. 2 out. 2-0 to Carney Lansford. Line drive into right field, base hit. Henderson will score. McGwire stops at second. 3-2 Dodgers.
I was going to say, it looked like a fastball, the outside part of the plate. He didn't really hit it that hard, but he got a piece of enough of that ball to drive it to the opposite field. If he tries to pull it, it's a ground ball. That was a good piece of hitting.
It was also his first hit of the World Series. What a time to get it. And the batter now is Terry Steinbach, who's been hitting the ball hard. Ball 1. So in the inning, Henderson singled, Canseco fouled out, and Parker flied out. He had McGuire 0-2 and walked him, and Lansford singled in the run. 1 ball, no strikes. Now back. 3 runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the A's.
And Dempsey and Belcher have gone away from the fastball with Steinbach. 2 breaking balls here. That one may have been out of the strike zone.
Tim Belcher is ready to make his 20th pitch of the inning, and he's gone over the 100 mark by plenty. So they're really watching him now. 1-2, breaking ball.
You have to give him the fastball.
Steinbach struck out in the 2nd inning and singled in the 5th.
Straight down, good downer.
1-2. Horton and Holton in the bullpen back of Belcher. 2-2, and he went with that cut fastball. That thing really ran again. So Deuce is wild in the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on. Dodgers 3, A's 2. Ground ball to Stubbs. He'll take it to the bag. So the A's get a run on 2 hits and a walk and lead 2. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. We're going to the 7th inning with the Dodgers leading the A's 3-2. And the starting pitchers still locked in. Dave Stewart and Tim Belcher. For the Dodgers in the 7th inning, it'll be Jeff Hamilton, Alfredo Griffin, and then Steve Sachs. Hamilton flied to center and lined a single to left in the 4th inning.
Now, we talked about Canseco's foul out, and it was a big one. They have statistics on everything. Oakland Coliseum, 2.21 foul outs per game. A's on the road, 1.63, which means there are about 50 more foul outs over the course of a season here at this ballpark.
Fouled away. I love it when you talk statistics.
Oh, I love it too, Ben. I knew you would.
0-1 to count. So Dave Stewart, who wobbled and fought his way out of it, is now within 1. And that's popped up in foul ground. McGuire.
Just what I was talking about, man. If you pay attention, you would see.
Just incredible.
I mean, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Here's Alfredo Griffin, who popped up and lined out. He's 0 for 2.
Shortstop, Alfredo.
Will he bunt this time? Lansford thinks yes, because he's pulled in. McGuire is still behind the bag. If he's going to beat it out, he's going to have to drag it.
And if he swings at the first pitch, it will really be shocking.
That's a good play right there. He's already pulled in Lansford 2 more steps, and McGuire had to come in just by shortening up.
1 ball, no strikes. Ball 2. Behind Stewart twice tonight. Kurt Young, the left-hander, warmed up. No action now. Ball 3.
I mean, he was looking all over the place because he was taken from the get-go, and Stewart not even close to a strike. Look at Mota.
And he walked him. So a 1-out walk to Alfredo Griffin. The 3rd walk given up by Dave Stewart, and that'll bring up Steve Sachs, who scored a run, grounded out twice. 0 for 2. Meeting at the mound now, and the bullpen, as you can see, Cadaret, the left-hander, and Plunk, the right-hander, in the pen.
At base on balls, with one man out and Griffin, who has not been hitting, you would think Stewart would just be laying that ball right in there. Good stuff with the fastball, but the way he pitched to him, that brought Duncan right out of that dugout.
That's a little shocking to see Alfredo Griffin get a walk. To give you an idea, he walked 24 times all year. And, of course, in a World Series against Stewart, a 20-game winner, the chances of Alfredo walking are really slim, and yet he walked on 4 pitches. That's enough for concern in the Oakland dugout. Sachs, as we've mentioned, about as good as the Dodgers have in going up the middle or to right field.
And Griffin with one man out, certainly a threat. They're going to have to watch him, and Stewart trying to hold that ball a little bit. Backed off to see if Griffin would indicate anything.
Right, 0-1. Big moment in a big ball game now in the 7th inning. Dodgers 3, A's 2. One out.
You talk about Stewart's move. They say it's a good move to first quick, but it's an average move to the plate.
Tried to go to right and fouled it down the line. So you could make it a direct quote and be sure of it that Lasorda had said to Sachs before he came up, take a shot at right field. 0-2 the count.
And with 2 strikes, I would think that Griffin would be given the green light at most times. And La Russa, you see him saying something to Steinbach, his catcher. If Alfredo gets a jump, he'll have the light to go.
Chopper up the middle. Hubbard can't get it, and Griffin's going to keep on going. Henderson will throw into second to keep Sachs at first. So Sachs, as good as they have to go up the middle or to right, goes up the middle, and that will bring up Franklin Stubbs.
And you can see Hubbard at least try to knock that ball down. If he knocks that ball down, maybe it would stop Griffin, but he was going to go all the way. There we're going to challenge the outfielders. Once he gets by him, Griffin, he knows he's gone. He's not even hesitating. Saw a lot of balls hit like that in batting practice in front of home plate a bit hard. Henderson charging hard, but Alfredo doesn't even hesitate.
You know why I think, too? Because they know that Stewart has a good fork ball. They want to try and beat down on it, and that time it really paid off.
Well, when you look in front of home plate, even the grass part, you almost see like little divots there where the ball has been beat on.
Oh, yes, he retired only 1 batter, but what a time. He came in with the bases loaded and nobody out, and he got Mike Socia to foul out. That's the batter he retired. So Greg Cadaret is now asked to go up against another left-hand hitter, Franklin Stubbs, who is withdrawn in favor of Tracy Woodson. First and third, 1 out in the 7th, 3-2 Dodgers. 1 ball, no strikes. So in a sense, Lasorda loses his best first baseman and a left-handed bat with power.
And Malfitano at third base really acting this out as if the squeeze play is on. He's walking over to talk to Alfredo. If nothing else, that always puts that thought in that battery. They have to look at that and say, hey, maybe squeeze.
1 ball and no strikes. 1-1. So Greg Cadaret going head-to-head with Woodson, Mickey Hatcher on deck, and big Eric Plunk down in the A's bullpen. 3-2 Dodgers, 7th inning. Runners at the corners. Griffin at third, Sachs at first. 1-1. You also wonder, since the Dodgers have to manufacture runs without any power, you have to wonder with a couple of rabbits out there if they're not thinking about something with Sachs at first and Griffin at third.
I'd be more prone to think squeeze than I would that, but that's certainly a possibility.
Fouled away, 1-2. The problem, if you are thinking squeeze with Tracy Woodson, you know how many times he's bunted this year? 0. Zilch. Zap. Nada.
Well, you're trying to make a run, and maybe you have to go to overtime and put a suicide on, although I think nothing is on now.
Fouled away. The running combination might have made a little sense. As you look at Hatcher, Sachs stole 42 bases.
But you know, just watching it, Woodson has not once looked at Amalfitano. He just gets in that box. He wants to knock that run in.
1-2. There goes Sachs. Thought he was going. Ground ball to short, and he beat the throw, and the run scores. They had to manufacture it. They had to have a guy who stole 40 bases do something instead of just stand around. And it's 4-2 Dodgers.
He broke on the right pitch, and Griffin was not part of that play. Believe me, as soon as he saw the ball hit, he broke. But it was Saxey who made that play because it was like a straight steal. You see, now Sachs is already broken. Look at Griffin breaking back towards the bag, and Sachs with the jump, a straight steal. He does beat the play, and they do make a run.
That run is charged to Stewart, and it is 4-2 Dodgers, and the batter will be Hatcher, as you see Sachs just beat the feed to Hubbard from Weiss. And Hatcher hits a high fly ball. It's playable. Henderson says he has it. And he does. But the Dodgers steal the run there in the 7th. And at the end of 6.5, 4-2 Dodgers. Now here's Bob Costas with tonight's special feature.
Vin, the keys to success are brought to you by Citicorp. Without their big guns, the Dodgers can't afford to get into a high-scoring game, and Tim Belcher has pretty much held the A's in check. With his lineup devoid of power, Lasorda has played hit and run and has helped to produce 2 runs. And then the A's have been guilty of uncharacteristic fielding lapses, errors by Hubbard and Weiss contributing to the scoring. So, good pitching, resourceful use of the available weapons, and a little help from the big Dodger in the sky. Tommy Lasorda's keys to success so far.
The 1988 World Series is brought to you by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything more?
As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, a reminder at 8 p.m. The Cosby Show, followed by Game 5 of the World Series, except on the West Coast, where the Cosby Show will be seen following the game tomorrow night.
Belcher has made 108 pitches, 64 strikes, 44 balls.
Got to make a point here in a tough ball game. Remember, the Dodgers have no maneuverability at all behind the plate. You have Dempsey because Socia is injured. That's number 1. They've lost Stubbs, who has a big glove, and he's gone. They're playing Woodson at first. Strike. The outfield, Marshall can't play, and Gibson can't play. The one good player defensively is Jose Gonzalez. So the Dodger outfield now is shaky, to say the least. Ground ball to Griffin. All the way. The Dodger outfield, you have Mickey Hatcher, who is a scrambler in left field. Shelby, the center fielder, and Mike Davis, who had the reputation of being a terrible outfielder in the American League, playing over in right.
Lasorda may have as many men in the clubhouse as he's got on the bench.
And in a tough ball game like this, it will be interesting to see how he plays his cards, and he's already played a big one with Woodson. Here's Walt Weiss, lined out, flied out, and no doubt is still haunted by that line drive he thought he was going to catch and missed in the 3rd inning for an error, allowing a run. Ground ball hard off Woodson's glove. Whether Stubbs would have made that play, we'll never know. But the problem is the one we've already stated.
I really think that ball would have gotten by him, Vin, because of where that glove is on the hand. Stubbs a left-handed thrower, Woodson a right-hand thrower, because this ball is really hit right down the line, and he dives to just deflect it. He almost comes up with it. I don't know if Stubbs would come up with it.
We'll never know. And now it'll be Polonia.
He came within an eyelash of getting it, I tell you.
Sachs is coming in, and Franklin Stubbs, who made 4 wonderful defensive plays and also doubled and scored a run, has to sit with the rest of them in the dugout. That was a very big at-bat when Woodson hit for Stubbs in the 7th. Okay, here's Polonia. Single to left and scored a run. Struck out and flied to center. 1 for 3. Weiss at first, 1 out. Ball 1.
Shelby in center field is not over quite as far as he was the last time. Now, does that mean that Belcher's losing a little bit? They expect him to pull that ball? He was a little bit farther over.
There goes the runner. Hit and run ground ball to Sachs. The late feed, but they get the runner at first. The ball seemed to hang in the air as he tried to feed Alfredo. It looked like follow the bouncing ball as it hung in the air.
He couldn't get it out of his webbing. Watch this now. He can't get it out of the webbing, and Alfredo comes, he almost throws him a pound ball, and Griffin sees that, and very alertly, he doesn't wait to even worry about the force play. You can see he was hit and run because Weiss was watching the play all the way. When he got that ball, Alfredo was way off the bat because he knew he wasn't going to get him. And I tell you, that's a big, big play by Griffin.
It's a remarkable play considering we've just seen the other side of the coin, the top of the 7th inning. And now in the bottom of the 7th, we see another feed that's beaten at second base. And the batter is Henderson with 2 out. 0-1. Henderson lost a hit to Stubbs and then singled twice. So Dave is 2 for 3.
Griffin had to make a decision, and he made it. And it was a big one and a good one.
Now you realize how important this at-bat for Henderson is with Canseco on deck. 0-1. I think that was a splitter in the count. 0-2. Walt Weiss at second, 2 out in the 7th. 4-2 Dodgers. And was that close? Cousins' right arm quivered and half the Dodger infield came off the field.
That's the kind of pitch you take only because you're completely fooled and you really try to act like, hey, I knew that ball was outside. But Cousins' arm, watch it. It's that close. Yep. No.
1 ball and 2 strikes. 2-2. Now remember, he had Henderson 0-2 in the 6th inning and started a nibble. And the next thing you know, Dave single to left.
He's got to make it happen on this pitch.
Line drive down the left field line and in the corner. Here comes Weiss to score on a double by Henderson to get the A's alive and well.
That pitch was a high breaking ball, and remember we talk about Henderson. If you make a mistake in that strike zone with the breaking ball, he's going to jump all over it, and he did exactly that.
Interesting to point out, and Lasorda knows it, Belcher had 7 strikeouts in the 5th inning and did not get another strikeout. So you know he was losing velocity. He made 120 pitches, and more drama for the guy who seems to be center stage every day, Jay Howell. Tim Belcher, sitting amidst the litter of a busted dream, and for the moment at least, might be second-guessing himself and his pitches. We have a scene like that where he puts his index fingers as if to say, why did I do that? Why? Well, he had 120 pitches, and he just said stupid, so I'm sure he's chewing himself out. But now he has surrendered the center stage, and what a confrontation. Jay Howell on the mound and Jose Canseco at the plate.
Last night against McGuire, it was 7 straight fastballs. Here we go.
2 down in the inning, 4-3 Dodgers. Tying run Henderson at second base. Ball 1. And it looked like he stumbled on the mound.
And starting him off with a breaking ball.
He's being backed up in the bullpen, Jesse Orozco and Brian Holton. Orozco, the left-hander. In there. Four runs, 6 hits for the Dodgers. 3 runs, 7 hits for the A's. And Dave Henderson, the tying run at second base. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1.
Direct contrast to last night. His best pitch is the fastball, but last night 7 straight fastballs to McGuire and got burned. And Canseco, the one pitch he took was the fastball, but 2 bad curveballs.
Big left-hand hitter, Dave Parker, and Orozco might be in the bullpen just for him. Maybe. But then you can't use Pena. He's worn out. And then it would be Holden as a closer, and that doesn't make sense. So we'll see. All 4.
He didn't want any part of him.
Now remember, if he brings in Orozco to pitch to Parker, Lasorda is really strapped. And of course, Tony still has a pretty full deck to deal in the Oakland dugout. And so Howell will go head-to-head with Parker and not Orozco. Parker has struck out twice and flied to left. All 3 at-bats were against Tim Belcher. Now he goes head-to-head with Jay Howell. 2 out. 4-3 Dodgers, 7th inning.
He threw that fastball with much more confidence than he did to Canseco.
McGuire on deck. Line drive off the glove of Griffin, and the bases are loaded. He should have caught it easily.
He about ran by that ball.
Griffin, both hands on it too.
He ran by it. The ball was curving away from him, and he almost screened himself as he put the 2 hands up there. It's an inside-out swing, and he runs by it and has to come back for it.
So what a break for Oakland as Mark McGuire checks in, and it's standing room only. Parker, Canseco, and Henderson out on the line. Up, Tracy Woodson. And the A's must settle for 1. And at the end of 7, Dodgers 4, Athletics 3.
Here's the pitch that Howell makes to Parker. Now watch it inside out. And it's curving away from Griffin, and he runs by it and almost screens himself. It goes off his glove, and he can't believe it. He's almost like saying, where is it? And then realizes that he did not make the play. And unlike Weiss, it did not cost a run. Weiss misses the line drive, and it cost the A's a run, which, of course, is the difference.
I'm a little surprised, that Greg Cadaret is starting the inning here in the 8th because the Dodgers are going to counter with a man they have to use defensively. So it's like giving them a free ride, Jose Gonzalez. In other words, Gonzalez is hitting for Mike Davis. You couldn't continue in a 1-run game and have Davis defensively. So Gonzalez gets in. Then you have Shelby, who'll bat right-handed, and Rick Dempsey. Meanwhile, you have a right-hander in the bullpen, Eric Plunk. Just a little surprised to see Cadaret, who is a dandy anyway. That'll do it for young Jose. A flashback of a play involving Walt Weiss.
Center fielder John Shelby.
Davis hits a line drive. Weiss goes up. Really should handle it easily, but it hit hard enough to get by him and go to the outfield, and that's why it cost him. Griffin was able to get the glove on it, and even though he didn't make the play, it landed at his feet practically, and nobody could score.
Here's John Shelby to bat right-handed, ball one. You want to talk about thin bench. That's where the Dodgers are now. Little foul off first. McGuire digging. He tries to make the sliding catch, and he can't do it, but it was a great effort. Smart play.
You do that to protect yourself from running into that fence, and he just didn't get over close enough. But if he tries to run into it, possibility of injury. But right here when he slides, he could have gone into that corner. He just never quite got there.
John Shelby 0 for 3, but he did drive in a run in the first inning. That's when he slammed the ball off Dave Stewart's glove. It was deflected to Hubbard, who threw him out, and Shelby almost hurt himself seriously. Remember when he hit the side of the bag? And he really will have to do some yeoman work now with Hatcher in left. 3-1. Rick Dempsey on deck. Ground ball to the hole, smothered, but got away from Hubbard. And Shelby's going for 2, and Canseco can't even get to the ball in time.
That advanced knowledge, they were going to challenge the Oakland A's outfield, and you can see that Shelby, once he saw the ball get by Hubbard, he doesn't hesitate at all. Hubbard looked like he was going to make the play. I thought it hit him in the face for a minute, went off his glove.
It did, I think.
I think it may have clipped him, and Shelby doesn't hesitate, and he's 2 steps from second base. Let's see if it hits him.
Right there.
It knocks his cap off is what it does. So he was fortunate, and Shelby, as all Dodger runners were told, challenged the outfield, even Canseco, because the report was he did not throw well in the LCS.
So Shelby gets a leg double with 1 out in the 8th. Dodgers leading 4-3, and so Rick Dempsey will come up against Greg Cadaret. Ball 1. Dempsey walked in the 6th inning. On the corner, 1-1. We're in the top of the 8th inning. The Dodgers 4 runs, 7 hits, and an error. The Oakland A's 3 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors. Rick Dempsey replacing an injured Mike Scioscia, battling left-handed Greg Cadaret, who replaced Dave Stewart. Foul back. 1-2. Danny Heap on deck. To repeat, Mike Marshall will not see service. So Lasorda has just about run out of cards to play. Oh yes, Gibson could pinch hit. Got him. Good running fastball. And now you can understand why Tony La Russa stayed with a left-hander, because of that good tail. Now Anderson is his only sound player on the bench. Gibson can come up and swing a bat, but that's it. So the only man who can play left on the bench is Dave Anderson. That's Gibson.
You know, ironically, Ben, if Gibson would get a base hit, he really needs 3 players. 1 to run and 1 to go out there, and Lasorda doesn't have that.
No way. He can only hit in a 2-out situation in the 9th. But the way the Dodgers are now constructed,
or destructed,
he could hit for someone like Griffin. because Anderson can play shortstop. Gonzalez, who batted for Davis, will stay in the game for sure. 0-1. Almost to the screen. Tried to get up on top of a big overhand curveball. That was a good save by Terry Steinbach. 1-1. Bottom of the 8th, the A's will have Carney Lansford, Terry Steinbach, and then Glenn Hubbard. 1 ball, 1 strike to Danny Heap. Fastball in there. Danny, I don't have any numbers in front of me, but he rarely gets an at-bat against a left-hander.
And I'll tell you, he's up against a tough one here. When he comes from that 3/4 and steps towards first base, that's a tough pitch.
1-2. Shelby at second. Fastball wrapped him up. He struck out the side, did Greg Cadaret, despite giving up the double to John Shelby. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. Tony La Russa has some pretty good cards to deal with. Javier, an outfielder, Tony Phillips, an infielder, along with Gallego, and of course Don Baylor and the catcher Ron Hasse. The Dodgers have Gibson, who can only bat, and Anderson. Carney Lansford. Lansford popped up, was robbed of a hit, and that was a big play by Franklin Stubbs on that tricky ground ball, because it came with 2 out and 2 on, and then singled in a run in the 6th inning. Off speed, and he missed. 1-1. Jay Howell, one of his better pitches is the curveball, and he worked on a split finger, a change, and he always had the fastball. There it is, a busted bat, 1 hopper to Sachs, 1 away.
He really not only threw that ball hard, he spotted it well.
Friends, this telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. Terry Steinbach coming up. The catcher struck out, but singled to left and then grounded out in the 6th inning. It is that time in a game when you look to the Oakland bullpen, and Dennis Eckersley begins to loosen up. Dodgers in the 9th inning are due to send up Hamilton, Griffin, and Sachs. To Terry Steinbach. High fly ball to right center. Jose Gonzalez is there. He's a very good outfielder. 2 down. And now we'll bring up the second baseman, Glenn Hubbard, or will it? And the answer is no. Ron Hasse will come off the bench and hit for Hubbard. They still have Gallego to finish up at second. So Hasse will hit for Hubbard.
With 2 outs, La Russa's going to a man who could give him an extra base hit. He's got some maneuverability with Javier, Phillips, guys who can really run. Hasse can give you that extra base hit.
Number 24.
Last night, Hasse singled to left and walked twice. So Ron Hasse with 2 out in the 8th inning. Dodgers 4 runs, 7 hits. The A's 3 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors. If Hasse makes out, then the 9th inning you have Weiss, Polonia, and Henderson. If Hasse gets on and then Weiss makes the last out, then Canseco still has an at-bat.
And don't think that Dempsey's not thinking that way. You're going to go right after Hasse because you want that 3rd out right here. You don't want Canseco up there at all. You want to keep him in the on-deck circle.
I guess that's really the great tribute to a great player when you do just that. And I did it without really thinking about it, except how many at-bats before Canseco?
Oh, you do that as a catcher. You do that in the 7th inning, at least.
I finally found my position. 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, you always wonder, who don't you want to come up in the 9th inning? You got that in your mind if you're in the game at all.
So it's a big at-bat, bigger than you might think of at first glance. Hasse trying to extend the inning to get Weiss up there. And he does.
Now they're going to put in the pinch runner, and he can do that. And Canseco is guaranteed an at-bat.
So what an important at-bat that was for Ron Hasse, as Gallego will now run and stay in the game and play second base. It is 4-3 Dodgers, and a meeting at the mound.
You have to think it's a 4-3 ball game now. You say Canseco's guaranteed a time at bat. Gallego, a definite threat to run. La Russa has to think about that. If he gets the stolen base, got the tying run at the scoring position. But if he gets thrown out, then there goes Canseco possibly. So you have to weigh the percentages, and strategy really is a perception.
Gallego stretching his hamstrings during the regular year stole 2 bases. So I would doubt that he would be going. The risk would be great. Also, you give Weiss that hole on the right side, and again, whatever you do, you don't want to lose Canseco's at-bat.
More than the stolen bases or not stolen bases, it's the move that Howell has that'll dictate it.
That's just a commercial. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2 out. Dodgers 4, A's 3. The A's did not get a hit in the 2nd inning. They did not get a hit in the 3rd inning. They've had at least a hit in every other inning, as you see Brian Holden. Off-speed, big, slow curve for a strike. 0-2.
He really took a lot off that one, and Weiss could do nothing with it. Tell you, if you could pull it at all with Woodson holding the base running Gallego on, you'd slip it right through there, but he just froze him.
No balls, 2 strikes to Weiss, who is lined out, flied out, and singled. Got him. So they had to keep Gallego quiet at first base, and at the end of 8th, Canseco will still bat 3rd in the 9th inning. Following the conclusion of tonight's game, stay tuned for your late local news on most of these NBC stations. Then come home to the best in late night comedy, beginning with The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. And the laughs continue on Late Night with David Letterman. Then former pitching great Denny McClain is the guest on Later with Bob Costas. That's tonight, only on NBC. Mike Gallego is now at second base, having run for Hasse, who batted for Hubbard. And Dennis Eckersley is on the mound. The Dodgers will have Jeff Hamilton, Alfredo Griffin, and Steve Sachs, with Tracy Woodson hitting 4th. Hamilton 1 for 3. Oh, 1. 4 runs, 7 hits, and an error for the Dodgers. 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 errors for the A's. Fly ball into center. Henderson is there. 1 away.
Well, you can see why Eckersley is tough on the right-hand hitters, especially because when he sidearms, and he can come sidearm for 3/4 and steps that way, a good fastball, you really have to give a little bit of ground, and that's what happens. Here he comes. Knight picks up his hitter. Look at that arm. And from the side, and I'll tell you, it's tough not to bail out a little bit.
Oh, the thought we had as Eckersley came in the 9th inning with the A's trailing, how many times during the year did Dennis Eckersley come in a game where the A's were behind? 1 ball, 1 strike. The answer to that, only once all year was Dennis Eckersley brought into a game when the A's were trailing, and that was June the 16th against Kansas City.
Lansford has really moved in close.
A swing by the diving Gallego. So Griffin singles, and the batter will be Steve Sachs. Now remember, Griffin walked in the 7th inning, and Sachs bounced one up the middle against Stewart. And that set up what turned out to be a very big run, the difference in the game. So we'll see if Lasorda puts a play on now with Eckersley on the mound.
Well, you can almost bet he's going to put a play on to try to come up with another one.
Sacks 2 ground balls, a walk and a base hit. He has scored a run, and his base hit set up another. He scored on a pass ball 2 years ago, and he has never been able to reach that plateau again. But 2 years ago, Sacks hit .332, and he played the full year. And he's going to bunt, and they're going to get him.
They're going to call foul ball, I believe, or he's out right away.
Let's see.
Hit him on the leg.
Doug Harvey is going to make the call because he had a better view. So Sacks is going to be out, hit by his own batted ball.
Or maybe he's calling foul
maybe
ball.
Not. Let's see.
What's he calling? Foul ball, maybe.
La Russa wouldn't be out there if he was calling Sacks out. You can bet on that. And Sacks is coming back up to the plate.
Is he in or out of the box when he gets hit? He's in the box.
Yeah, I think he was. I think the confusion was Harvey coming down the line appeared or gave the impression that he was calling him out. And that started the rhubarb. You say so, said La Russa. So that's what it is. Evidently, Harvey came in, but only to try and help out, to say foul ball. Meanwhile, the plate umpire, Darrell Cousins, just listening, and the discussion, which is what it was, is broken up. So it just appeared as if as Harvey came running in, he was just trying to help out, and it was misinterpreted.
You know, with Eckersley, he's got a good move to first, but that high kick of the leg, really extra time coming to the plate, and that's where you pick up the extra that you need if you're running, and Griffin at first base, certainly a threat. That high kick, quick to first, slow to the plate.
0-1. He's going, and they pitch out on a hit-and-run play. High throw back to first. They got him. .263.
He jumps out in a hurry, gets a good ball to handle, really throws it high. Weiss makes a good play. Griffin sees that, and he tries to head right back. I think where he tipped it off, Vin, he really asked Motor for confirmation after he got the sign. He knows he's trapped right there, and he's not even going to get in the rundown, thinking he can make it back.
1-2 the count.
Once he got the sign, he was talking to Moto over there, and most of the times it's really a confirmation they're looking for.
1-2. Got him. All right, hang on to your hats. In the 9th inning, it's Polonia, Henderson, and Jose Canseco. Gibson bad legs, Marshall bad back, Tudor bad elbow, Socia bad knee, but the man who they said could not play is playing, and I think I can understand it. Mike Marshall's problem was defined as a mechanical strain, and of course you have to torque your upper torso when you swing a bat, and we were told before the game he could not play. Well, what they meant, obviously, they didn't think that he could swing. He couldn't torque the back. Meanwhile, somebody has to come out of there, and it is the scrambler, Mickey Hatcher. So the Dodgers defensively seem to have strengthened themselves with Marshall, Shelby, and Gonzalez in left. Of course, Hatcher wants to play every pitch of every inning of every game.
That he does, and he's made some pretty good defensive plays in that outfield. But here we go, Vin.
Louis Polonia to start it off in the 9th inning. Ball 1. And boy, the tension will mount here. Holton and Orozco down in the bullpen. Hatcher pacing in the dugout. And Polonia followed by Henderson and Canseco. 2-0, and the heat's on Howell now. In there. 2-1.
He's going to make him pitch.
Polonia singled a left and eventually scored a run in the first inning. Struck out, flied to center, and grounded out in the 7th inning. Henderson on deck. A bunt foul back. 2-2. Not a bad idea to drag one.
Shelby is moved over into that original position. And I mean by that Belcher, when he was throwing hard, had Shelby way over in left center, and then he moved towards center field. But now with Howell throwing hard, he's back in the left center field.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. Hershiser, who figures to pitch tomorrow night. 3-2. High fly ball to left field. Gonzalez is there. 1 away. Paid attendance tonight, 49,317. And the batter is Dave Henderson, and Henderson has really been tough. Henderson lost a hit in the first inning. A good play by Franklin Stubbs. Single to center in the 4th, single to left and scored in the 6th, and doubled in the 7th.
It was a high curveball, breaking ball in that 7th inning when he drove in the run with the double.
One out in the 9th. 2 mountains to climb for Howell. Henderson and Canseco. Line drive, base hit. And now we really got him alive here. People up. And here comes Canseco. That's the 4th hit for Dave Henderson. Canseco grounded out in the first inning. Belcher jammed him. He rolled out to sack. Walked in the 4th. Fouled out on a diving catch by Stubbs and walked in the 7th.
And when he walked him in the 7th, then it was breaking balls as opposed to the fastball, and he was way outside with him like he didn't want any part of him. But he has no room now.
1 out. In there. And waiting on deck, Dave Parker. Orozco and Holton continue to heat up in the bullpen, and Howell trying to do it himself. Time. Big off-speed spinner. And now Dempsey out to talk to Howell, and Sachs is also coming in.
He had a good cut at it, and you know, these Oakland A's, they work on a 2-strike approach, and sometimes Canseco will widen out. He has hit 16 2-strike home runs. Doesn't take that great big cut, but he's so strong, he doesn't need that big powerful swing to hit one out. He wants to put that ball in play with 2 strikes, and they call it that 2-strike approach.
Henderson at first. One away. 1-2. 2-2. One thought deserves another. If you're going to pitch inside to Canseco, if you're going to jam him, if you're going to really try to prevent him from extending those great arms, there is a risk of hitting him. Remember, he was hit in the first inning of the first game. He was hit 10 times during the regular year. 2-2. 3-2. Now you have Henderson, the tying run at first, with 1 out.
That curveball really hung high, and you can see that's the one he wanted. That ball didn't do anything, and I'm surprised that Canseco didn't give really a good whack at it.
Well, they've come right down with the crowd on its feet. Got him.
Breaking ball. He came back with a breaking ball. Henderson holding because he doesn't want to. La Russa doesn't want to run himself out of an inning, and what a pitch that was. That was the best curveball he's thrown. Here comes Peranowski out once again. Look where he spots it. Not only a big break, down she goes, and Canseco doesn't get it, and what a strikeout.
After just missing him by jamming him, then that big overhand curve, which means so much to Jay Howell. In fact, it's that curveball that struck out Canseco, which really started all the trouble about he was using the pine tar to get a better grip, to get a better and tighter rotation. He's got a dandy, even with clean hands.
Well, I'll tell you, that one curveball he threw that hung up there, and you can see Lasorda's reaction, that high curveball, and he comes back with it in a real jam.
Dave Parker will be coming up, and we're going to have a runner now. Stan Javier will run for Henderson.
And he's got a Roscoe in that bullpen if you wanted to go left-hander against left-hander, but I don't think he's going to go with him, especially when he, in that LCS, when he ran out there and made that quick speech and U-turn.
I'll give you 2 reasons. No way.
Okay. Then I think that Orozco ought to sit down. But you have to wonder about that if you're going to go left-hander against left-hander. But if you remember, you're watching the LCS when Lasorda ran out there and said, "What the heck's the matter with you?" I think that's what he said.
Well, that's a translation. Loses a little of its flavor. All right, 2 out in the 9th. The tying run with good wheels. Javier at first. Dave Parker struck out twice, flied to left, aboard on the error. He hit that line drive that tied up Alfredo Griffin. High pop foul. There might be a play. Hamilton is there. He's got it. And the Dodgers hang on and beat the A's 4-3 with one of the weakest lineups we've seen them field all year. And that has to really be a discouraging loss to Oakland.
Oh, it's one of the weakest lineups, I think, ever in the World Series. And when you start bringing fellas out of the trainer's room for defensive replacements, it tells you something. And Lasorda, you can see he's ecstatic by what happened here because now he knows he's got the lead and Oral Hershiser going tomorrow night for him.
A remarkable night. The Dodgers got 2 and the A's came right back with 1. The Dodgers got 1 in the 3rd. The A's came with 1 in the 6th to tighten it up 3-2. They each scored a run in the 7th, and the Dodgers hang on in the 9th and win it 4-3. We'll be back at the Coliseum. It is rare, but I think if you were watching the game tonight, you would understand that tonight's NBC Miller Lite player of the game is manager Tommy Lasorda. Miller Lite happy to present a check for $1,000 in the name of Tommy Lasorda to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. It has been a while since he's played. Let's meet him and go to Marv.
All right, Vin, so MVP honors for Tommy Lasorda, and it has been an improbable run. You're up 3-1 with a patchwork lineup with a club that is severely hit by injury. Are you surprised by what has taken place?
Well, first of all, you should give the MVP to Bob Costas, because we were in the clubhouse before the game began, and he mentioned that this is the weakest hitting team to ever play in the World Series. Now, to me, what a tremendous victory it is for the weakest team to ever be played in the World Series to beat one of the best teams that was ever put in the World Series, a team who won 104 games. These guys were fired up tonight, and they really and truly wanted to show everybody that they can play no matter who we put out there.
In effect, you will use any psychological ploy that is at hand.
We need everything. We need every advantage. In fact, every time we play that team, they are so good compared to us, they should allow us 2 runs before the game begins.
What is the injury situation? We know Tudor is out the rest of the way. Gibson available for pinch hitting. We saw Mike Marshall go in the 9th inning, so I take it he is available now.
Well, he said he could play in defense. We needed another outfielder. I only had one outfielder remaining. That was Jose. So Mike knew that I needed someone to put out there and place a Hatcher. So he volunteered to go out there. He said he can do it.
What about Socha?
Socha, I don't know. I haven't talked to the trainers or the doctors yet. But we're going to keep on battling. We're going to do the best we can what we have. I told him before the game. I had a meeting with him. I said, hey, we don't have Gibson and we don't have Marshall. Tudor's out for the year. Everybody thinks we're going to fold this tent and leave. I said, you guys are going to show them that you've been a winner the entire season, and you're going to beat this ball club with whoever goes out there.
All right, Tom, I'd like to bring in Bob Costas, who was the focal point of your victory.
Happy to help out, Tom. Just
Anytime.
happy to help out.
I'll call you when we need you again.
All right.
I understand there was a roar in the dressing room during the pregame show.
That was, I don't know what they were saying, something like, kill Costas, kill Costas.
You know,
that's what they were saying.
That has been mentioned during the course of many of our NBC
There's
meetings.
a lot of people that want to do that.
All right, Tom Lasorda, his Dodgers up 3 games to 1. Let's get back to Vin and Joe.
The 1988 World Series has been brought to you by Miller Lite. For great taste, there's only one light beer, Miller Lite. By UPS, we deliver to every address in the U.S. and to 41 countries worldwide. And by Mitsubishi Motors, who invites you to come see the full line of cars and trucks. Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice. 4 runs, 8 hits, and an error for the Dodgers, 3-9-2 for Oakland. A somewhat remarkable game.
It is. The Dodgers knew they had to make some runs, and they just did that, Vin. They made the runs.
We'd like to remind you, remember, coming up following your local news, it's The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, then Late Night with David Letterman, and later with Bob Costas. A full night of entertainment coming up on NBC. Tomorrow night, Oral Hershiser will try to win it, and Jose Canseco will try to come back from a big moment that got away, the 9th inning tonight especially.
And it'll be tough against Hershiser, but I can't help but look at my scorecard and look in that 1st inning when he hit and run with Hatcher, 1st and 3rd, and then in the 7th inning when he had Sachs running, because if they get that play, Vin, it could be an entirely different ball game. He had to gamble, and he won.
And remember, Jose Canseco went 0 for 3. Dave Parker went 0 for 5. And Mark McGuire went 0 for 3. An 0 for 11 for the muscle man in the middle of the Oakland A's lineup. They failed to produce, although Parker's line drive that got away from Alfredo Griffin appeared to be a big break for the night, only to have McGuire, last night's hero, pop up with the bases loaded.
And that bullpen, once again, that middle pitching, that's been the difference. Both ball clubs have really got. Cataray came in again tonight and did a remarkable job. So I tell you, it's been an unbelievable kind of a series for what's been happening.
Remember now, tomorrow night, The Cosby Show, followed by Game 5 of the series.